Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Andrew Esquire, coming at you from Seoul, South Korea. This is a Legal Mindset, where we help you be your own judge. And on this channel today, of course, we're talking about the biggest thing in the world, the biggest trial in the world, frankly, the biggest event in the world right now, which is the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. As we wind down, guys, it sounds unbelievable, but we only have 3 days left. We have today, the testimony that'll come today. We have tomorrow, which will be the final day of actual testimony. And then we have closings, and that is it. And then it's the gravy train towards a conclusion, towards a verdict. This is it. All the cards are coming down. The stakes are 100% higher. So we're going to get into it and see where we're at today. Shout out to everybody who's here from around the world in the chat. Like always, I love to see where you guys are coming from around the world. This has proven to be an awesome streaming time. I plan, even after this, to keep this streaming time because I see so many of you internationally coming forward. And as a person who is international, I like to actually think about you guys who are caring about this, but maybe you don't live in the eastern seaboard of the United States like 99% of lawyers covering this. So we're here. We're going to come here every single day. This is going to be my streaming slot, at least during the week. I like to have a weekend sometimes, though, guys. Shout out to everybody. I see Australia in the chat, a lot of Australia in the chat, Hawaii, Texas. I see in Ireland here. I saw Norway here. I saw a New York, definitely not sleeping, Miss Red Pill Nurse here. Definitely not sleeping if you're in there. Wales, what's going on? Brizzy, Ellie, what's going on? Hope you got your popcorn for sure. You're going to need your popcorn today for this one. Netherlands, Germany, Vietnam. Need to visit Vietnam and get myself some pho. I love myself some Vietnamese food. Adelaide, how's it going? Midwestern United States, what's up? Guam, awesome. California, or California, whichever way you like it. Netherlands, Finland, I saw Finland. Tampa, the birthplace of the lap dance. Pittsburgh, Fresno, Boston, Denver, Bosnia. What's going on? Around the world, Perth. I know a guy from Perth. He is badass. Alabama, London, Kentucky, and Paris. Ça va. Good to see you wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Guys, you guys have helped me get my message out here around the world. You've helped me really build my channel, and you've helped get the truth out there. Because no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, whether you're in Asia, whether you're in North America, they are trying to suppress information on this. They are trying to keep the information down. But you guys are finding your way to the truth. And in order to help this information get out, make sure you are smashing the like button. Make sure you're really clicking that like button and sharing this out. It really helps us in the algorithm and helps us get this information out there to everybody so they know what's going on. Now, Discount Umbrella Man, i.e. My boy Valiant Renegade. I don't know whether he's up. I'll send him the link. I don't even think I sent him the link yet. I'll send him the link, but he may not be here. But one guy who's up early, he's got his tea, he's got his crumpets, and he's ready to dig into this case is my good boy, Jordi Walker. Jordi, what's going on, brother?
How's it going? Yeah, not too bad. Very tired.
I think everybody is very tired on this one. I feel like I'm really not sleeping anymore. I'm really just like napping occasionally, which is what ends up happening here. It's just like kind of I call it a nap corridor. You know, there's like this corridor where I can nap, but it's never a full 8 hours of sleep. I literally never have an 8-hour window to sleep. So I figure I get like 2 4-hour windows of sleeping, and those are really just naps. Let's be real. Let's not even lie.
I tend to have an hour and a half nap during the trial, during the most boring part before the lunch break. And then overnight, 3 4 hours tops.
Yeah, that's about the same for me. Like, that's literally where I'm at right now with this. And I'm feeling it, but I'm glad to be here, guys. I'm glad to be awake and talking to everybody about this. This is so much fun to cover, and it's been crazy. I would have never expected. I mean, most cases, I'm gonna be completely honest. They're usually boring as shit. Cases are normally very slow, very pondering, very boring, but this one is not. This is just the opposite of that. Jordi, is there anything that shocked you? Because I had a chance to speak to other people yesterday. Is there anything that just pops out from yesterday, from the witnesses we saw yesterday, that shocked you, that just totally surprised you?
The Jennifer Howe depot completely shocked me for lack of sustenance. I expected so much more in that deposition. I get that they used it to get the emails and the letter into evidence, which I don't think it's been like officially. I haven't seen the official witness list, but there are rumors going around online that they did manage to get those in. I think Banya, he managed to redeem himself to an extent and then started falling off the bandwagon again.
Right.
And I didn't expect any redemption from him at all because he was useless the first time round. Then you had the psychology guy. I didn't expect him to go on and say how unethical he thought the Dr. Phineas and Ferb guy had been.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz or whatever, yeah.
Whatever his name was. I didn't expect that. I expected him to come on and maybe like say it once and then go through everything that he was going to go through to discredit it. But the amount of times I heard him say that Dr. Doofenshmirtz was unethical, breaking the Goldwater rule, breaking the APA guidelines, breaking the other guidelines that are specifically for trial witnesses. So I thought that was quite shocking. And then also the guy that just came in and decimated Catherine Arnold. I mean, to be honest, the whole parade of expert witnesses that was just decimation after decimation after decimation kind of shocked me in itself a little bit. And then obviously I think everybody was shocked by the trailer park guy that came out, and no one was expecting that one. That was really, really left field, although I don't think it helped JD. So
and I've got that guys, I've got that pulled up. I've got that interview pulled up, so we may end up getting into that one. I understand that that one may go either way, and I think that's what makes that particular bit, and by go either way, I mean it probably won't hurt anybody. Well, sorry, it probably won't hurt Johnny Depp, but whether or not it does anything against Amber, I think is up in the air. I think that's something that we can kind of debate. That's the one witness that I think is most debatable as to, okay, do you think this had an impact on the jury or not?
Yeah, and they clearly, Elaine's team clearly didn't voir dire him correctly, because I would have asked in the voir dire, have you ever experienced any form of abuse, whether you were a victim or the perpetrator? And as soon as he said yes, because he would have, I would have moved for exclusion. Yep. Because he's biased. He's got that innate bias, whether he likes it or not, because Johnny is obviously claiming that he's been abused. Amber's been claiming that she's been abused. So there is bias there, no matter which side it goes down on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same. She asked if he'd ever met Johnny Depp during his actual testimony. I'd have asked the question about the nightclub meeting during voir dire again, because that could have been a potential another move to exclude it. Oh, so you knew Johnny before he came to the trailer park? Oh, okay then, because that's another thing that could point to bias. So they really didn't do that voir dire properly.
No, I agree with you. I don't think they did that voir dire properly at all. I mean, I think they kind of were winging it on that one. Frankly.
Oh god, they had like 24 hours notice. You could see it. They got told the day before that this witness had like a 80% chance of testifying, and it was just job altogether. I mean, why do you think Tug got such a shout out on there? That wasn't prepared at all.
No, and I don't think they wanted to shout out Tug, because here's the thing about the shouting out Tug, that umbrella guy, not that umbrella man, which is hilarious. Like they can't even call him the right thing. But I think with Tug, like, the more you shout him out, the more people are going to go to his videos. So it's kind of like you're bringing attention to it.
Yeah. And not only that, if I was on that jury, I'd have, on my toilet break, no doubt they've got their phones on them, I'd have just had a quick look on Twitter on that umbrella guy and see who the hell he was if I didn't already know. And I'd be like, oh, okay, right. This is who he is, and this is what he's been doing. So
Exactly. Be like, oh, he's been covering this for a year. Oh, look, there's all this information that shows that Amber Heard is a sketchy bitch. I mean, just that normal I think that just bolsters the argument here. Susie said, and by the way, here's the other thing about Tug's videos. A lot of them are very short and digestible. They're not these 3-hour streams. I mean, he's doing streams now, but that wasn't Tug's thing. Tug has a lot of 4-minute videos, 8-minute videos, 15-minute videos. So honestly, and I'm not saying the jurors are doing this because they're not supposed to do this, but we talk real on this channel. And real talk, are you saying that they don't just click on a 4-minute video when they're alone in private, no one's watching them, and they watch it real quick?
Well, not only that, obviously they go home, and if their families are on social media, I know for a fact that if I was on a jury and I came home and my wife had seen something on TikTok, she'd be like, "Oh, have you seen this?" And I'd be like, "Well, no, of course I haven't."
My mom's doing that right now. My mom is watching videos and she sends them to me. I love my mom. By the way, she watches all my videos. So, hey, Mom, how you doing? I love you. I'll see you in 4 days because she's in Miami and I'm flying back. But it's hilarious how like I'll have my family members, all my friends, they'll be sending me information. And guys, for you guys, the best place to send the information is my Twitter, which is The Legal Mindset, at The Legal Mindset. Best place to send me information. During the shows, it gets too spammed, so I usually check it in between shows. So I'll bring it up for the next show if you send it to me now.
Are you sure your name's not That Legal Man?
It'd be like, because that's like the fuck up she made, right? It's like it'd be like that legal mind state, that legal mind man, that legal mind guy, and it's like, what? Or it'd be like a legal mindset, you know? It's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Susie says, what's up, Susie? 5 Aussie bucks says, another sleepless night watching the drama unfold. What are your thoughts on the bombshell that will go off at today's hearing? Today is going to be crazy. So I have the witness list pulled up. We are going to get into the witness list, but I think today we're going to have some explosive testimony because we've got 3 really big witnesses and we've got a whole lot of fucking drama surrounding all of these witnesses. So I honestly think this is going to be a popcorn day.
I am questioning some witnesses though, because I don't think JD and Kate Moss are going to take the stand today. I think they'll be tomorrow. I mean, they've got another case. They've got another day of cases of testimony left. JD's they've got 11 hours left. So that's today and tomorrow. That's going to cover
today and tomorrow. That's today and tomorrow. Yeah.
It would make sense to put Moss and JD on very, very last because then you've ran down as much as Amber's clock as possible.
Yes, and they cannot go crazy on the cross-examination. They can't have some, massively long cross-examination. So I agree with you, and they have other witnesses they might bring up. So we'll debate that. I think that's something that's worth talking about today as we head into this. Right here, Chibi Peach says, morning for the land of cows and cheese. You have become my coffee entertainment. Thank you for the breakdown. Yeah, so hopefully you guys are waking up wherever you are, or, you've got some drinks, whether it's evening drinks or morning drinks. Either way, no judgment. Legal Mindset is a judgment-free zone, except for if you're Amber Heard. Justin Wright says, Elaine got the hearsay evidence into the record that she successfully objected to on direct, shot Heard in the foot again. Yeah, it's so weird how the counsel will bring up, their counsel will bring up issues and then own themselves. They've done that multiple times where the questions that they've asked, particularly on cross, have just ended up screwing themselves. It's really, really odd. I just haven't seen counsel be that bad at just shooting themselves in the foot. What you want to do is you want to go with Camille Vasquez's style and just make sure it's yes or no. But Elaine has this problem where she leaves questions open-ended. That's not how you do a cross-examination. You make it so it's yes, no, or like a variant of yes, no, but you cut them off if they keep going, just like Camille does. I'm sorry, but that's not the question I was asking. That's exactly what she does. And that's an effective way to stop them, rein them back in, and then get them on track for yes, no. Joe says, what, if any, umbrella man objection unintelligible?
I totally would have objected that because she misspoke.
Yeah.
She mispronounced his name. Therefore, on the record, it says that his name is That Umbrella Man. Yet it clearly says on the tweet That Umbrella Guy. Therefore, I personally would have objected to that as probably unintelligible because she's completely wrong on the facts.
I would have also objected to some of the foundational stuff there because number one, she said his name before she even introduced the tweet, right? And I know they mentioned Tug before, but I don't know how much there was in the evidence about Tug. beforehand, other than the Hamada statement. I think
I mean,
I would have
she was
made
using it
them.
as impeachment, though, wasn't she? So she
Yeah.
was saying, "Do you know this man?" And then as soon as he said no, well, you've replied to one of his tweets. So how do you not know him? So I
Right.
get what she tried to do there, and I think because she was introducing the evidence right after mentioning the name, that's probably why it was allowed. I mean, there's been that many sidebars; it was probably discussed at sidebar.
Right. That's true. That's a fair point. It probably was discussed at sidebar. Why wasn't Dr. Shaw allowed to explain why traits for NPD was wrongly quoted? He talked about jealousy and entitlement and then was cut off. I think because NPD, it might have been about who he was applying the NPT diagnosis to. Because you remember, like Amber was diagnosed with HPD and BPD, but I don't think Amber was diagnosed with NPD, which is technically a different thing, although there's lots of overlap. So I think trying to extend that, it was beyond that scope. But remember, we still have Dr. Curry. So I think Dr. Curry will be able to come back and bring in some of that stuff. So I'm not too worried about getting more diagnoses. I think we're going to get that at some point. We'll talk about when, because it's very possible we may see that today, but we'll talk about that in a second. But before we go anywhere, guys, one thing I love about this trial is the memes. Now, they say we're all far-right misogynistic bots because we love memes, but if that's the case, then beep boop, I'm a bot, because these memes are fire. All right, so obviously you have Aquaman, and then Umbrella Man.
That is fantastic.
Really good, guys. This is shout out to Tug, by the way. He's great. Hopefully, I'll get him back on before this is all over.
Tug's fantastic. I mean, Tug's been covering this trial now for what, 2-3 years since the filings were first made. So he's been doing fantastic. And I mean, to call him, for them to try and call him a pro Depp account in that testimony, because she was testifying when she asked that question, no doubt about it. That was a double-edged question right there, and it's ridiculous. Yep. He reports on facts, and that's it. Yeah, there's some of his opinion in there, but
just because they don't like the facts doesn't mean that they're not the facts, right?
Well, that's it. I mean, that's what this whole thing's been about, isn't it? Amber doesn't like the facts,
right? Amber's allergic to the facts.
Yeah. Why do you think she's always got red marks on her face? She's allergic to telling the truth.
This is one you guys sent me, and I hadn't showed it earlier, but I had to bring it up. Obviously, you got Sam Eagle from the Muppets, and Dr., as I call him, Nosferatu over here, Dr. Spiegel. This guy's bad. This guy's real bad. But I love this one. This one's great. Carrie says, love your videos, always entertaining and great info. Yes, we try to do both, like entertain and educate. If you don't do both, what the fuck are you doing, right? Oh, I do love fried chicken. I'm in Korea. This is a land of really good fried chicken, but this one always makes me laugh. This one is good right here. Colonel Hurd. Feeling cute. Might poop in the bed later. DK.
Yeah, for all you guys out there, don't piss your wives off. They might start shitting on your pillow.
You do not want to piss your wives off, guys. Seriously. And Isabel, we're going to answer how much time we have left. So that we're going to get that into that question. Don't you worry. Next. The psychologist you ordered, the one you got from Wish.
I said this exact same thing yesterday. All of Amber's expert witnesses look like they come from Wish.
Seriously, this is like the biggest disparity in credibility. It's like completely credible guy. Look, and I'm also going to say this, Jordi, and this is our like American bias here, but with the particular accent of the London
his accent's
psychologist.
Horrible.
Really? It's horrible? We just give it credibility. we give it inherent credibility in America. You know?
He had a posh London accent, and I mean, I'm not posh and I'm not rich, and I'll most likely never be posh or rich. So
yeah.
But yeah, he had that posh London accent, and then you could tell he'd spent time in New Zealand because he had kind of like a Kiwi twang in there.
Oh, I couldn't see. I can't tell. I can't tell as an American. I can't tell the Kiwi twang. So I know, like my Kiwi friend, we would always make fun of him because he's like, yeah, we're partying on my mother's dick, and I'm like, your mother's what? My dick, and I'm like, Say it one more time. How many people can you fit on your mother's out there? And she's like, I can fit about 100 people on my mother's deck. And I'm like,
oh. Yeah, the other thing with this psychologist
I love you guys,
most of us Brits don't sound like that. Most of us Brits kind of like sound like me or a variation of me. I mean, I mean, UK's full of so many different accents.
Speaking of somebody with a crazy accent, possibly Nigerian, is my good friend Nate the lawyer. Nate, good morning.
What's going on, brothers? What's going on?
Yo, what's up, Nate? How's it going?
I'm all right.
How tired are you right now?
I'm actually pretty tired. This has been. First, I want to say to both the chat, to you guys, this has been a fantastic month to be a content creator on YouTube.
Yes.
It has been fantastic. I'm talking about every video is doing well. You know, you're getting a lot of great content. Everybody's so engaged. This is the dream. This is the YouTube dream, and I'm glad that we're all living it together. Because sometimes you get those one stories where only one of us can have a good run and something. But this is one of those stories where every one of us is blessed. It's been, and I think we just have to acknowledge.
It's great to see how you've all blown up.
And thank for all of us. Yeah, it's as a group. This doesn't happen. This just doesn't happen.
It really doesn't. I mean, you've got to think about it. You've got you two. You've got Legal Bites, who's absolutely exploded through this, and then you've got Kurt. You've got Richard, all of the other guys as well. They're just absolutely massive.
This is a great time for me to show this meme. This is something I know that Hogue bought the rights to, but this like animated picture of us. This is great. I like yours, Nate. You're like down here. You've got like a lot of. You also look very young in this rendition.
I got a lot of energy too. They give me a lot of.
Like you have a lot of energy though, Nate. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I do have a lot of energy. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I love the way they even captured James there. James, I think that's brilliant.
James
Hogue. I look with Hogue. Oh, James
Hogue is like got the blush there, you know. You got a lawyer, with the anime twinkle, you know.
I like yours too. Lawyers on the end is so funny.
Because I'm like almost Italian with my hand use, you know. It's ridiculous, you know. But you've got Runkle looking platinum over here. Legal Bites, Joe with the hat. Popcorn Planet, DUI guy, Umbrella guy, Boss Attorney Bree, Eric Hunley, Law Talk with Mike, Uncivil, Potentially Criminal, Your Boy Mindset, Colonel Kurtz, Ricada, Emily D. Baker, who's blown up.
Yeah, she's at 500,000 now. She's going to the stratosphere.
Behavioral Arts, Andrea Burkhart, Ron. Behavioral Arts,
Yeah, he went from like 0 to 200,000 overnight. It was like crazy.
Same thing with we got down here our boy Law and Lumber, who was not even doing anything beforehand, and now he's up at over 100K subs, which is awesome. That's amazing. That never happens. I mean, that's so anomalous.
The way you guys have banded together as a group of content creators never happens at all. And it's like you get people like me from other industries who know things related to the trial in as well. I mean, again, it never happens.
Yeah. And the thing is that we're all friends too. I mean, like we all talk behind the scenes. We all get along with each other. Like we have different opinions. I love having Nate on because Nate will like bring up issues that, he'll make arguments and stuff that I normally wouldn't think of or present, and he'll have those conversations. Especially he's tuned into like the mind of the left. So we have like a lot of those good like left right conversations. So, and he can articulate it in a way that like makes sense to me and doesn't cause like a massive cognitive dissonance. So I appreciate that about Nate.
You're really good at applying that devil's advocate view as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? They are missing the lead attorney. There's another.
Lead attorney.
He's missing.
And I don't know exactly how much he's been covering. He's kind of, I know he's been out there, but like there's people who are like LawTube adjacent, right?
Yeah. But he's been on my channel, Nick's channel. Like he comes around with the big.
He's coming on.
And he's streaming this one too. Oh, I wanted to ask you guys. Do you guys know the details of Amber Heard's domestic violence arrest?
The DV arrest?
Yeah.
The DV arrest against Tanya.
Yeah, against Tasha. She had a DV arrest against this woman, Tasha, her ex-partner, Tasha Van Ray.
Yeah. So I would have to look at that again. But I think it was 2009. I know they was arrested for charges of hitting him in New York.
Demeanor domestic violence, I believe it was.
Yeah, I have it. I have it all right here. So it's these are the facts that.
Do you want to share it?
Sure. This is this is a Word document I just took, but I'll share it. I'll share it because I'm actually got her testifying to it. But these were the facts. September 14th, 2009, Amber Heard and partner Tasha Van Ray were at an airport in Washington State. While they were at the airport, Amber was seen in public hitting Tasha in the arm and then ripped off her necklace, tearing it off. 2 officers were at the scene, arrived, and arrested Amber for misdemeanor battery and domestic violence. Amber was taken to jail and held overnight from September 14th to September 15th on battery and domestic violence charges. Authorities didn't prosecute since Amber lived in California and the victim didn't cooperate, like many DV victims don't. They don't cooperate after there's a cooling off period. So you take them to jail, they spend overnight. So Amber was released and charges were dismissed, but the case was kept open for 2 years in case there was any other incident. Amber's PR team, Amber Heard and her PR team, then claimed that the cops only arrested her because they were, quote, homophobic,
Didn't Tasha reaffirm that statement as well?
And yes, and she said, said only was arrested because Amber was a lesbian in a relationship, but they forgot one thing. The officer that actually arrested them
was a lesbian, wasn't she?
Was a lesbian,
yeah, in
a lesbian relationship. So then they had to change it and say that officer wasn't there. It was another officer arrested, but all the reports and everything showed the officer that was the officer there. Then after all this debacle happened, a year later, Amber's team went back to the police department and had them and put a motion to purge all the information about the DV arrest, but they didn't get everything. So that's why we know about it. So she asked for the.
But that's completely that. Based on what the judge in the UK case said, so correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys know American law a lot better than that UK judge does. She had the right to do that after so many years, though, didn't she? Because he said that she did that perfectly legal. After so many years, you're allowed to ask for it to be scrubbed, the arrest to be scrubbed off your record.
Oh yeah. That's I'm not saying it was illegal to do. I'm just saying that's what happened. That's what she did. So yes, she could have asked to do it, but the fact of the matter is that you have multiple witnesses at an airport seeing this woman hit someone else in a DV incident, right? Because talk about rip chains and everything. She spent an overnight in prison. Now, if I told you, if we switched the genders on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
If she was a man, I'd be saying she can do it again.
And he had this DV thing where he beats his wife in the middle of the airport and rips her thing off. Spends a night in jail. And then his next relationship, you got him on tape saying he didn't punch her. He hit his next wife. This would be an easy pattern of domestic abuse, right? There would be no question here who would be the abuser. But I think in this case, since Amber's a woman, that's the protection. The protection is she's a woman. It's hard to thought she was an abuser in that relationship. Now it's going to be that's even harder to think she's an abuser in this relationship.
Even though statistically, in a per capita sense, female relationships have higher incidence of DV than male-female relationships or male-male relationships. That's just statistically overall in terms of per capita rates. But you're right. I mean, it goes into the perception, right? Because the perception is, there's other studies that have shown that when they see an incident in public where it's for example, a woman abusing a man, right? Less likely to intervene or frankly, no intervention at all, even laughing, openly, mocking the guy when the woman is, beating on him versus if the tables are flipped, the statistics fly up about people intervening. In fact, the majority of people can and do intervene.
Oh yeah. And
if you saw that in the airport, think about that. If Johnny Depp is ripping a chain off of Kate Moss in the airport, people are jumping on Johnny Depp in 2 seconds.
You've only got to think about what Ben Chu said yesterday when he was like, when Amber said, I'm not punching you, I'm hitting you. Flip that around. What if that was Johnny that was saying that? There'd be an outroar if a man tried to make that differential. I wasn't punching you, I was hitting you.
I was slapping you. I didn't close fist hit you. That was literally the argument. That was the argument. It wasn't a closed fist.
It's insane. But I'm sharing the screen. I'm sharing the video.
Let me just
That's Amber. This is Amber Heard being challenged in the deposition with her previous DV arrest. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
I've seen this. Yep.
All right, rolling it
for the audience.
Arrested for committing domestic violence against your spouse.
I'm going to
irrelevant, harassing, has nothing to do with
They're
this
saying a
proceeding.
previous DV arrest is
Argumentative.
irrelevant to a DV action.
Go ahead and explain how you want to.
There was no domestic violence within that relationship, and the state of Washington, where I was arrested, immediately dropped the charges because they knew the exact same thing that I just told you, that no domestic violence ever occurred. And my ex has stated such. In fact, it was so ridiculous, those charges. It was a verbal argument, it was misinterpreted, misrepresented, and completely overreacted upon by two individuals in a power position.
Those
And
are
as
the
soon as they
officers,
found out,
the
as soon as they
homophobic
found out
position.
that we were partners, which we were not going to be arrested for before, as soon as they found out we were partners, the male cop, not this other woman who's later been brought into the press,
This is so much bullshit.
this male cop put me in handcuffs, and that's there was no physical violence, no physical abuse, and zero domestic violence whatsoever between us. It was a trumped up charge, and it was dropped immediately for being such.
Isn't it a fact, Ms. Hurd, that in fact on September 24th, 2009, you were arrested for domestic violence committed against Tasha Van Ray?
Asked and answered. Isn't that what you just talked about?
Did I miss something?
Isn't it a fact, Ms. Hurd, that on September 14th, you were in fact taken to jail? It wasn't
Her
dropped
body
immediately.
language.
Same objections, Vegas.
Same objections.
Isn't it a fact, Ms. Hurd, that you spent the night in jail from September 14th to September 15th,
It wasn't immediately
2009,
dropped.
as a result
She
of
went
your
to
arrest
jail.
for domestic violence?
Same objections. It's
Is
irrelevant.
that true?
352. She's already answered what happened. It's
Is that
vague.
true?
It's argumentative.
already-
It's harassing. You just want to, get your harassment in. Go ahead.
Let the record reflect Mr.
I just
Harder's
answered.
directing her not to answer. Did you
I
spend the night in
answered you.
jail?
I
Yes.
never said don't answer. I never said
But
that.
yeah, you just did.
You
That's
did.
not my fault. Because she keeps cutting me off every time I say something.
There's no need
What
to
little-
yell, Mr. Harder.
Well, I have to be heard. Everyone's talking over me. You've got a whole
lawyers
wall of
like
lawyers
you.
over there who are
Yes,
talking
You
over
got-
me.
May I
this is a
continue?
bad line of question. Let me just.
This
throw
Can
it
I
out.
say
but this
something?
is
Ms.
unprofessional.
Ms. Hurd, isn't it a fact that Tasha Van Ray on September 14th, 2009 claimed to the police that you had hit her arm?
Same objection.
No?
I don't know anything about this.
She knows nothing about
Answer
it. She spent the night in jail. She
Give a
knows
full
nothing about
answer,
it.
please.
Can you
I
see
don't
how
know
her
anything about
lawyer
the
is
claim that
basically
you just
telling her
made
not
about
to
what
testify
Tasha
too much?
said or did not say. I can't possibly know that. I know nothing about what you just said.
Isn't it a fact that on September 14th, you hit Tasha Van Ray in her arm?
No.
Isn't it a fact on September 14th, you broke the necklace off of Tasha Van Ray's neck?
352.
A
It's
necklace.
irrelevant to these proceedings.
This is
that's
badgering
it.
now. Yeah,
Huh?
this is that was on the verge of badgering
this is
now.
But this is really bad because I mean, why not just admit the facts and then say, if you've got witnesses there, say, yeah, I did, do that. We did, I didn't.
Because
make
there was
contact with her. I didn't-
there was no
Right.
way that those witnesses were ever going to get called, and Tasha had already changed her story. And if you look at her demeanor, how angry and disconnected she looks in that depot there, that is a theme of every deposition from the UK trial, and it's even a theme of when she was on the stand in the UK trial. She looked so angry and so disconnected, and not everybody, but clearly the judge was taking that as anger towards Johnny when it was actually, in my opinion, anger that she was even being questioned on these things and that people weren't just automatically believing her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it shows you one thing that I think, which this whole thing shows you, is that this woman is just lying about essentially everything. Because even here,
So
when you
true.
have absolute evidence that this wasn't dropped immediately, you spent the night in jail, right? This is now I understand you want to say it was a misunderstanding, things weren't what it
That's
was.
fine.
They left in the jail. Yeah, it's fine, but she's saying the lesbian cop is homophobic. That but and the only reason why she said that is because she didn't think we would we'd realize it. I don't know.
But Nate, I heard her say it was a man. Like, did I hear that wrong?
She said there was
a male cop.
Yeah, there were two cops
that
there.
arrested her, and no, she said the lesbian cop wasn't actually there. She said that she got brought in the press later during that deposition.
Yes, but the lesbian cop was the one that actually made the arrest. The lesbian cop was the one that spoke.
Yeah, it's on record. It's all on record.
So the lesbian cop
is the one that did everything.
lesbian cop is a bigot, is what she's saying.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. Yeah.
And until she found out she was a lesbian, then she said, "Well, she's not a bigot. She just wasn't even there." When don't forget, there's videotapes and everything of this lesbian cop. So it's that type of deception that the jury won't get to see, right? The jury's not going to be able to see this. They're not going to be able to see this past DV arrest. Right. They're not going to be able to see any of this stuff. And I think that's what the media now is struggling with, because we know all this stuff that really is relevant to this case. The fact that she actually beat up a former partner, and we all know her doctor said it, or every psychiatrist said it, every psychotherapist said it, who was even on the stand. If you have a history of doing this, it's more likely you're going to do it again in another relationship. And Amber Heard has a history of hitting her sister. She has a history of hitting her former spouse. And now in this new relationship, we're going to believe that she's not going to hit Johnny, or she's not going to be more likely to hit Johnny. That just doesn't make sense based on what we've just seen. So
it doesn't pass the sniff test. I absolutely agree with that. But I mean, that's why Sophia super chat here. She said, "You guys rule. Greetings from a Brit living in New Zealand. Just want to say, appreciate all you guys that are bringing the truth to us all." See, that's the point, Nate, is that's why people are watching, is because you're bringing this information up. We're all sharing this information. You're bringing this to my channel. I really wasn't focusing on that today. So you enlightened me of something, new, and we're sharing this truth out there and getting the real facts out there to people so they can make up their own minds on this, figure out whether these people are reliable or not reliable, and see how the process plays out. Go ahead, Jordi.
One thing I do want to mention on Amber's attorney there, he was saying objection irrelevant, and obviously all of us were kind of a bit outraged at that, and the chat was as well. But he is actually correct. A record that's been scrubbed is irrelevant in UK courts. So, and the judge, the justice even said that in his decision. So the line of questioning there, after that first question, should never have happened. Obviously, hence the objection. So I get why Johnny's team were obviously pushing it, because it did happen. There was this accusation of domestic violence, but the trouble is, you can't use an arrest record that's been scrubbed. You can't use that as a fact of evidence, because it is no longer a fact of evidence.
Right, it's removed, right? It's just sort of like the attorney-client privilege information. When you object to attorney-client privilege, you can't consider that as a fact. That's just totally removed, right? That question is not a fact. You can't consider whether or not the attorney is telling the truth. No, that's not something you consider. And Brent here, this is relevant for you, Nate. $50 super chat, which says, "Andrew, why not admit facts?" Amber Heard, "Because I am an angel and have never done anything wrong ever. Are you going to believe me or the rest of the world?" Side note, I love Nate's idea of a chart with Amber Heard on one side and all the liars on the other.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I was this morning I was making that chart because I was doing my how I would close. So I made what she's talking about is, so I said I would go on the court with the big, how they put the
demonstrative.
Yeah, but it's the it would be the blank board where I can start writing stuff on. Right. So there's a blank board, and I put a line right in the middle, and I put one side Amber. And I would say, to believe Amber's story, these are the people who you have to believe are lying. And I'd start first cop Melissa, blah, blah, blah. Second cop, blah, blah, blah. And I would name everybody. This person said that there was no injuries. Amber says there was injuries. You got to believe their lie. You got to believe the doctor's lying. This person's lying. This person's lying. There's about 20 people that you can just list up there. All these people have to be lying. And then at the end, I say, so who do you believe? Do you believe this person is telling the truth? Or do you believe all these people are lying? And that demonstrative, I think, is enough to at least show the leaps that you'd have to make to accept Amber's version of events. You have to believe all of these people, even people who have nothing to do, who didn't even know who these people were. Right. They have to be lying on behalf of Johnny. And then you do the same thing with Johnny. Well, here's Mr. Depp. And here's all the people who say he's not telling the truth. Amber's sister, this person. That's like 3 or 4 people. But everybody else, but here's the people who say exactly what he's saying is true. The bodyguards, the police, this person, and then you put that list up. And you say, you see what we're dealing with here? It's not about who do you believe? It's about who is lying to you. And right now, based on what you see, one person, do you believe the one person saying something different than everyone else? That's where we're at.
And Nate, even the other thing too, you said there's 3 people that say Johnny Depp is lying. Well, here's the problem. Some of those 3 people, they contradict Amber too. So they contradict Johnny Depp and Amber. So Whitney, for example, best example, she contradicts Amber and Johnny.
But that's what you know what you do with that? You put her on both lists.
Yeah,
I would say you put on both lists. I would put her on Amber's list and Johnny's list. I would say, you see Amber's sister. She's even saying it. Yes, that's exactly what I would do.
Here's my only issue with like the whole case so far. You've got 2 stories which I think could sway the jury Amber's way. Because we all expected Jennifer Howell to come in and absolutely smash Whitney's testimony out the door. Yeah. But we didn't get that. And Whitney was somewhat believable. Not 100% believable, but I mean, it was more than 50% for me about whether or not she was believable or not. So, and I think 50-50. Yeah, and I think the jury are going to be thinking that as well. And at the end of that, even the jury will have been expecting this Jennifer Howell, whoever she is, to come out the water and blow Whitney's story away. And again, it didn't happen. The jury saw that didn't happen. So that's one story. And then Hicksville, I don't think got cleared up at all because there was I mean, the guy said he was only with Johnny and Amber for about 45 minutes to an hour out of that whole evening. So could Johnny have grabbed Amber's wrist and said what he said? Yes, it's entirely plausible that he could have. There was so much time that the dude didn't see. Now, I'm not saying I believe Amber's story, obviously. I do think Johnny's version of events is more believable, in my opinion. But I do think there is mutual abuse on both sides. And if I'm going to look for any of the stories that have been told as potential evidence of that, those are the 2 kind of stories where I'd be looking at.
I'm going to have to, I got to run and get the kids up. But I do want to say,
Nate, there's one thing I wish I could ask you real quick, though. Like, there's one thing I want to cover. And because you were a cop and you were a former cop here. And I wanted to get your opinion of whether you'd seen this perjury document from the LAPD, right? Because there's this document that's been shown here, and this is a LAPD investigation report, right? Mm-hmm. And this is apparently date of occurrence 5/27/16 for a suspect presented false evidence in court, right? Mm-hmm. This is Amber Heard, right? Mm-hmm. There's Raquel Pennington as well here. But this was filed and approved on 4/29/21, allegedly. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen many people talking about that. I guess the involved person is Adam Waldman. Yeah. So I guess, the false information here. What would you think about this?
No, essentially what it is Waldman's going to the cops and saying, hey, this person provided false testimony in the court. You should investigate it. So this isn't like an investigatory document. But generally with perjury, it's very hard to prove. And a lot of times DAs don't want to go that far, especially, and we're talking about LA County, Los Angeles, inner city. Yes. Perjury, if they start arresting people who were arrested for perjury, the line would be around the block. So generally, it's just true.
You're right. It's true.
It's true. So what they do is perjury like this, they generally let these things go. And the reason why is because it's kind of this enforcement thing. We don't want to have this selective enforcement. We're just going to enforce them against rich people versus poor people and that type of thing. So generally, it's not enforced unless the situation is just overwhelmingly bad. So this document is great, but I don't even think you could bring that in because it's a hearsay document too. It's a lot. So. Don't get me wrong. This document, obviously, I believe she's lying. Obviously, I think she committed perjury. But it's just this document is just more toward that. But I don't think it's going to be put on in front of the jury, though.
I don't think it'll be put in front of the jury. I mean, my bigger question would be like, do you think the perjury charge will be brought? But what I'm hearing you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's unlikely to be fully brought through just because the enforcement disparity, like you said, between rich and poor, when are they going to enforce this versus not enforce this? Is it equitable to enforce this? Those considerations might lead them to just drop this.
Yeah, because generally with perjury, it's just if you were trying to enforce it with the red line, it's just too many people. It's just way too many people. But I think something like assault or something like that, it doesn't matter how rich you are. The fact you just arrest the person here, it's again, every criminal trial the person who's saying I didn't do it is likely committing perjury, right?
Committing perjury, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Or the
So
person
that would be
yeah,
literally
so-
everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, Nate, hey, listen, brother. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Guys, check out Nate the lawyer. I will add him to the description. Appreciate that, brother. And I will catch you around LawTube. We see each other all the time.
Oh, yeah,
so
we're going to be
peace,
around.
brother.
I'll see you a little later today. Take care. And it's great meeting you, Jordi. Thank
And you, Nate. Have a good one.
All right. So we're losing one lawyer in New York, but we're gaining another person who, well, I would say he's questionable, but I have vetted him on 1 or 50 different episodes with me. And that is my good friend, Scott from Writers with Problems. Well, now Future Conflict. I'm sorry. I said your OG name. From Future Conflicts. Hey, Scott, thanks for joining us.
Hey, man, I'm here for violence.
Good. Because the best form of violence is our memes, and I still didn't finish. So let me drop 2 memes here in the chat, guys, because meme violence is real violence, apparently, according to these guys. So obviously we have a horrible meme here of fanboy Ben is best Ben. You can see he's wearing a Hollywood Vampires shirt here, so he's
already getting swag.
Yeah, I mean, I want swag. And then you have this interaction with the court reporter. So check this out. The volume may be a little loud here, guys. So just fair warning.
I guess I'm just a play date to you.
She's loving it.
Wake up in your bedroom and there's nothing left to say. When I try to talk, you're always playing your games.
I honestly hope that some of these moments have been in front of the jury.
Oh yeah,
The
because
jury
he's so
needs to see things like this. He's
so
gentle.
affable. Yes, he's not a dick. I mean, Amber Heard is a cold, frigid bitch. I'm gonna say it. Like, and this is my channel. I say what the fuck I want to say. Like, she's frigid. She's fake. She's frigid. She's constructed. I mean, go ahead, Scott.
No, could I just Amber. I mean, this. So my daughter comes up to me today, and she's always seeing stuff on the internet and bringing things to me, and usually it's funny memes and things like this. But she brings to me today. She says, "Hey, Dad, look at this," and it's a meme. It's like Johnny Depp. Right, and then he's coming out of the courthouse, and it's one of the days when he's affable with all the guards, and it's the day he said, "Oh, those are all my relatives." You remember that?
yeah,
that
my
clip?
relatives, yeah.
Right, because they're all, and then it goes Amber Heard, and she comes out, and she doesn't look at anybody, and you're boo boo, and there's a siren in the background, and then whoever made the meme put it at the very end, like a cow. And the fact that my daughter is bringing me memes about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, this is
It tells you how big this is. Like when literally your
huge.
daughter is doing it here, and you're in. And for those who don't know, those who haven't met Scott, Scott's in Pyeongtaek. He's here in Korea. He's doing the Lord's work. Protecting us from the North Course. So we're well safe here in Korea. All right, so we covered. Oh, and Scott, wait, I don't know who has a little bit of feedback. Somebody may have the playback a little bit high because I can hear myself. But we've got some interesting witnesses coming up. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think of the witnesses that may potentially come through today. And I'll share this screen. This is just one of the many outlets reporting on the potential witnesses that are going to come through today. So we have a continued rebuttal. And we have potentially, and I'll zoom in here, we have potentially Kate Moss. So we have, which is Depp's ex-girlfriend. We have Shannon Curry and Morgan Tremaine and Depp. Those are the big ones that are expected to testify at some point. Now, of those, I know that Kate Moss is allegedly going to testify today for sure. That's been something that they've said, okay, today is a Kate Moss day. I also think today we've got I think we had confirmation that the flight attendant will be testifying, the one that Johnny allegedly grabbed, because allegedly there was the point in the plane where they're doing the MDMA, they give it to the flight attendant, which by the way is a huge violation of federal law. So frankly, I expect the flight attendant to get up there and say that they did not take drugs in a plane. But then the grab. And touching a flight attendant like that is going to get you on a federal list, right? It's going to get you on a no-fly list real quick in a settlement.
I think if I was Elaine, I'd have one question for the flight attendant and one question only.
What's the question?
Did you ever receive money from Johnny Depp? And then boom, end. No further questions, Your Honor. Because it doesn't matter what the context behind that money is. Because let's face it, at this point, you have to mislead the jury to get them to vote on anything for Amber. That's the only way to do it.
See, here's the thing though, Jordi, you're not wrong. It's not right. Like, it's not morally
It's not right. No, of course
but
it's
you're not procedurally and practically wrong. They literally have to bamboozle people to get them to believe Amber's side at this point. You're not.
I mean,
wrong.
that's what they've done with Waldman. They've tried to get the jury to and they've been successful because the motion to dismiss was unsuccessful, and the jury now have to decide on the extent, basically, of attorney-client privilege and the scope of the employment, which again it's just wrong.
Well, you know what? The thing I'm kind of curious about is anybody really talking about the fact that that all of Amber Heard's experts actually made her look worse rather than better?
You mean the wish experts?
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is like the bargain bin of experts right now.
Yeah, I was rewatching. So during the day, nighttime date, stateside,
Yeah.
I catch up on Nick's stream, and so I heard you guys talking about how like they are literally guns for hire, and they will say and do anything, and they're super combative, on cross or whatever, and so they just and. Both of those guys were terrible, and there was another one, and I can't remember from when it was, but didn't do her side much good. And then what is it? The expert from yesterday for Johnny's team, the entertainment guy.
So Marks. So Marks right here. So Richard Marks. So to get back, this is a little review from yesterday. So Richard Marks, he was an entertainment lawyer, Hollywood expert. So they pushed back on the testimony from Catherine Arnold, who is Amber Heard's entertainment industry consultant, also compiled with the testimony of Haneda. But they said that, so Arnold testified that Heard would have had a similar career trajectory to Jason Momoa, Zendaya, Ana de Armas, and Gal Gadot, if not for the hoax allegations from Depp's team. An estimated $50 million in damages, right? So Marks testified no comparableness between the other stars. And so no basis for those damages. So.
And on top of that, I mean, he just made Arnold look silly, when he started comparing his experience and the things that she didn't talk about. I mean, I know a little bit about the whole movie world because I've got some friends that are in that business, and I've attempted to kind of position myself maybe to write screenplays someday or something like that. And so I've kind of studied it, and man, it seems like her version was very how should I say? Well, I was going to say sketchy, but very tailored to help the defense. But when you brought in a broader view that he clearly has. Well, you mean he didn't set a deal for a Marvel superhero movie? Well, let me tell you about all the other things that he's done for the last.
He's like, I just did the merchandising for this little series called Star Wars. I don't know if you heard of that before. It's like, the guy probably freaking knew Charlie Chaplin and Marilyn Monroe. I mean, he's a guy, he reminded me of a partner I worked with on my old Universal deals who was around literally when Disney and Universal were breaking dirt in Orlando. He knew all the stories about and all the dirt on what went on with the theme parks for the last 50 years. And this is a guy who just no matter who you were or where you were, you wanted to hear his stories. And this is what we heard from the people in the court. They were transfixed. That Richard Marks, was the one where they were leaning forward. They were just waiting for what he would say. And his credibility was that he came down there and immediately off rip said, this lady doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Off rip said that.
I think I was only disappointed with one thing from both Marks and Spindler. They introduced no demonstratives to debunk Catherine. I get the opinion, don't get me wrong, I get the opinion is very, very strong, and that might well be enough, but if I was on that jury, I would want to see the backing data to prove that she's either right or that she's wrong, and she didn't prove that she was right, and they didn't bring any data to prove that she was wrong. So although the opinion is very,
So then
very
it just
strong,
becomes
like I said,
credibility, right? Between
it
the
is.
two.
It's credibility, and she's got no credibility.
Well, I will say though, Jordi, he did cite. I mean, yes, there were no demonstratives and there wasn't any like data entered into evidence. However, he did cite actual figures, unlike her. Like, if you just listen to how they were talking and what they were doing, he was being much more specific with details than Catherine Arnold. He was actually mentioning, numbers, figures, rates. Versus Arnold, who was talking in broad generalisms and frankly didn't know a lot of details about the actors themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The productions themselves and the scope of the production.
She didn't even know the proper pay rates, because that 15 million for Aquaman 2 for Jason Momoa was at best a guess, at worst a breach of NDA by his agency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me read this one because this is hilarious. So we have a lot of conspiracy theories now. So Lena says, with the Durhams, says Scott sounds like the Umbrella guy in Valiant. Lol, love from the Emirates. So the theory is that Valiant is that Umbrella guy, but now Scott is like the guy who helps. He's the body double. So whenever they're on together, he stands in for one of them.
The problem is Tug is like 6'7" or something like that.
He's taller than me.
He's like really tall. I've never met him in person, but I've seen him on video. And man, can we just say real quick, since we're on the subject of Tug, I mean, is he not the man of the day from yesterday?
Man of the trial.
Oh, dude.
I'm sorry. I'll call him man of the trial.
That umbrella person or that umbrella man.
that umbrella man person.
And then the guy on the stand, the soy boy on the stand, he corrects her and says, that umbrella guy.
Because she can't even get it right. It's
God.
embarrassing, but it's hilarious.
That's just great. Well, here's the thing. So, at one point, she was up there at what's her name? Don't tell me, because it used to be one of my middle school ex-girlfriend's name, Elaine. Right? Yeah,
Elaine.
Yeah,
you dated an Elaine?
Oh no, Elaine the pain.
You boomer. That is.
Well, seventh grade, man. I mean, what?
Okay, all right.
Come
you
on.
make mistakes, Scott.
But girlfriend, man. It's like we held hands in a movie theater together one day. Right? What does that mean?
Right.
Anyway, so Elaine was up there basically saying, now the umbrella guy is Johnny Depp's main internet guy or whatever.
He controls Johnny Depp's
controls
Twitters.
it. Right.
He's
And then did you see Johnny Depp was turned around and looking at her while she was saying this? And I was thinking, I sent Tug a DM. I was like, dude, Johnny Depp was looking at her when she was saying that you were Johnny Depp's internet guy. He knows who you are.
Now he does. If he didn't before,
he knows now.
Yep. That would be an amazing interview if he could do an interview after the trial with Tug. And Tug would deserve getting that interview. It would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. He's got that. Me and Tug. So Tug is from Middle Tennessee, and I grew up until middle school in Middle Tennessee, so I can do that Waverly. Middle Tennessee twang, that they have in Middle Tennessee, so I can do that.
Nice. It checks out. It definitely checks out. Let me read a couple of these super chats before we move on here. So Ashna Rashid with a $2 super chat, £2 British pound super chat, said the true winners of this trial are the internet sleuths like Tug. So I absolutely agree with that. V says for £2 as well, says Tug was inspired by incredibly average respect to both incredibly average and Tug. Sam says, mindset. What's a good way to get rejected from federal jury duty that starts June 1st? I already asked Nick, but didn't want a contempt charge. #unbreaded. Well, I can't give you my legal advice, and I can never suggest you would say anything that would be horrible. But what I am saying is, just as a matter of fact, if you happen to have some sort of bias towards the subject of the case, or maybe, if they asked a question which clearly is looking for a biased answer, and you happen to answer that yes, you were biased against that and you couldn't change your mind, and no matter what they did, they couldn't change your mind. I'm just saying that they might be obliged to remove you from the jury. However, I mean, who knows what issues they're bringing up, right? And whether or not you say yes to that. And if they ask whether you're an istrophobe or any other, horrible issue, if you were to answer yes, I'm not saying you'd be removed. I'm just saying you might be removed.
Do you reckon the two that are being removed has been selected yet?
I don't know. I think they are selected. They just don't tell them.
Right. So it's already been sorted then. I thought they might do like another voir dire before they send them
No.
for deliberation to get rid of them or something? Because I'm not sure how it works over there.
But they have to. So here's the thing: they have to keep them around just in case they disqualify a juror. So
Yeah,
if
that
there's
makes
any
sense.
sort of situation where a juror sees social media or something else like that, or is compromised somehow, then they bring in the alternate. So that's why you've got the alternates right now. So you're going to be able to have a decision. You're going to be able to have a jury verdict, even if one or two are compromised. So. Max Buren with the 610 yen, that funny money, said, can Elaine be charged with misgendering crime under the new woke rules, saying that umbrella man instead of that umbrella guy? Yeah, the new standard, right? I mean, why not? Soy Mafia says, don't fly back with Brandon, who's visited South Korea. Yes, I am not flying back with Brandon. By the way, Scott, did you catch that I believe Biden called the President Moon here in Korea?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That basically the Korean media was all over that, but I didn't hear a word about that outside of Korea though.
Because they suppress that information on how Brandon is fucking up and making us look like, he's making us look like fools worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I heard about it, but not through MSM, through Twitter.
Yeah. By the way, the Korean president is Yoon now, not Moon, right?
Yeah.
Big difference. That's our former president of Korea, right? Which I would say the country.
My wife loves him, man.
I don't vote. Loves Yoon?
Yeah.
Well, he's based. He's more based than that. He disbanded the gender
he's
equity
pretty based.
office. So, yeah. So I got this one. Jared says, y'all all sound like King George to me. Love it though. Being a Texan and hearing someone shit the bed my whole life. God, works funny, i.e. Amber's life. Yeah, God definitely does work funny, Jared, and thank you for that. Trina Reed said, you guys are awesome. Dylan said, off topic, but thoughts on the Texas shooting. Dylan, I'm going to have to do that as a separate one. That is a whole bundle of sticks that I don't want to get into right now. It is crazy. And by the way, we're going to talk about a lot of topics. Scott and I have talked for a while about topics that the mainstream doesn't cover. They are not going to be covering this Texas shooting.
Yeah, sure
they're going to be
my UK-based opinion on that.
There's some news that came out quickly after the details started rolling in that basically made me think, yep, they're going to memory hold this within about 48 hours. They're going to
memory hole it, right? And by the way, guys, memory holes essentially hide it as quickly as possible. Don't cover it, and hope people don't remember about it. It is something they do often. Guys, if I wasn't so focused on every detail of this trial, I'd be covering these things. But because we're covering this trial right now, we're not getting these topics. But next week and the weeks after, we'll start integrating in more non-Depp versus Heard topics. So
and I wouldn't even give it a month. I wouldn't even give it a month for that to happen. Wait until we get the JD verdict. Then they've got enough to bury it with.
To bury it. Yeah. They don't mention it at all.
Well, so one of the things that I want to talk to you about next time I'm able to come back on, after the Johnny, because we talked about doing another show again after Johnny Depp, is we need to start talking about domestic security, and this is one example of the kind of problem of domestic security, and there are some kind of reasons. Clearly the politicals on one side always go to guns, but there's a lot more reasons as it's multivariate. And ultimately, there's a lot of other things affecting the domestic security situation. So I hope we can kind of dig deeper into those. Of course, I'll bring my boy Joe on with me because and maybe I'll bring Stan too, because it's security, it's food, it's the economy. When all these go bad together, the stress of the culture war will boil over, and it's going to be bad.
Yeah, we've got a similar thing happening over here. It's all boiling up. It won't be long.
Yeah, and you see it in just interactions with people. You see it on the streets. Sometimes the tension is very, very real. Seed Fan says, for two Aussies, says, can Amber sue her lawyers over this fiasco? She can try. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, the standard for the standard for suing your lawyers is very high. Jordi, is it the same in the US in the UK, where it's hard to sue your lawyers?
Yeah, you've basically got to be able to prove malpractice, that they haven't done their job properly at at least one point during the whole thing, and you can't. They won't even just look at one specific thing, because a mistake is a mistake. At the end of the day, lawyers are allowed to drop the ball. I mean, everyone's done it. It's quite a hard standard.
Well, you know, I think, you know, some of the things that that some of her lawyers have said have kind of almost come to that line, though, especially Elaine. I mean, some of the things that she said has just been.
But the thing is, that line is, I mean, you're allowed to be to a certain level. It sounds horrible, but your lawyers are allowed to be a bit incompetent, right? They have to be
I feel like she's not a trial lawyer. She's great in depositions, and like her questioning seems very deposition-y when she's got people on the stand. So I don't think she's done very many like proper trials. Like, she's probably done a fair few, but not like this. You can't
hold that against her. It's Amber's fault for hiring her, because he could have looked at a record and asked her and done that due diligence. That's
no, it's Elon's fault. Remember, it's Elon's fault. He's the one that hired her.
Yeah.
Daddy Elon. Daddy Elon.
I hope she's not an example of the hardcore litigators that he wants to hire.
For Tesla,
man, right? Yeah.
Scott says, Scott Campbell for 5 Americans says, good morning, fellow LawTube addicts. Legal Mindset, do you ever sleep? No, I just aggressively nap at this point. Jared Tisdale says, is Virginia preponderance or clear and convincing preponderance? V. Shedrick says, Howell later referred to Amber Heard's mom saying EM was controlling, incredibly average. Did a video about the injury on Amber Heard while she was in the emergency room. So I guess check out that video from Incredibly Average. He's had some great content. He put out the Australia video, so he's got some great content. Same with Tug. So thank you for that. Irish I Was Drunk for €2 says, love the channel, man. Watching from Ireland. Hey, cheers. Have a Guinness out there for us. Chunky Monkey. Good morning, guys. Do you guys love the irony that Amber Heard's breakout role is the same thing that ends her career? Damn.
I mean, how can they consider it a breakout role, though? She had 55 seconds in Justice League, and they keep saying she was the co-lead of Aquaman. No, she was the female lead, because she was like one of the most important females in the film. Yeah, the love interest. But there was 2 blokes that were the actual co-leads. So,
well, if she were to get an award, she wouldn't get an award for best female actress. She'd get an award for best supporting actress, best supporting female actress. So I mean,
thought she'd get the worst supporting female.
No, my point. Yeah, I was just saying she's a supporting actress.
Yeah. That's her. Like, literally, the criteria based on like the SAG awards, like, would essentially be that she's supporting actress. She doesn't meet the criteria for lead, which. To portray herself as a lead is very disingenuous.
And she sure as hell wasn't a protagonist. That's for damn sure.
That's damn sure. Eve Barlow's Rotten Crotch for £2 says, sounds like schizophrenia. Hashtag Aquasnatch. Hashtag Bucket of Chum. That was really hilarious when he said, like, you're laughing at, because it's hilarious, right? When he said, like, they asked him the question about like that umbrella guy, that umbrella man. And I think the comment was something like, all this talk of, well, yeah, it sounds schizophrenic. Yeah,
because I think they were trying to imply. It sounded like to him that they were thinking that umbrella guy was like a alter ego or something for the old lawyer or whatever. The guy he was.
It's crazy. Literally, Tug has an accent.
You know that?
Yeah. That's so ridiculous. Soul Music said the teacup Yorkie should sue him for defamation. Justice for Boo and Pistol. Justice for.
I think we should get the dogs on the stand and get a dog interpreter in and ask the dogs plainly: did you poop on the bed? I mean, they are being accused. Call them as witnesses.
Exactly. Justice for them. I'm laughing here at this one. Floral from Under Rock says, I, Andrew, fully endorse the super chatter and are telling you all of your subs to sub to his puppetry goodness. Awesome. I actually, everybody loved the Muppets back in the day, and I love a good comedy puppet show. Avenue Q was fucking hilarious. I remember that. That's one of the musicals that I actually did find absolutely fucking hilarious. Little old now, though. Vin Ray. At least one thing came from Howell's depot. Amber Heard said she donated to Howell's organization, while Howell said the donation came from somebody else.
Yeah, but the letter attached to the check said that it was a donation made on behalf of Amber Heard. That's why Amber Heard can get away with saying that she donated it, because it was made in her name.
But Jordi, the jury gets to consider Who is
The
that
jury does
somebody
get to
else?
consider it, yeah, but it's anonymous, and there's been nothing entered into evidence to suggest that it was Elon. So if they do come to that inference, then the question
Yeah, you're
is
true.
how. So
Because Elon has not been called, so Elon's not been brought into this, and because Elon hasn't been brought into this, that seed hasn't been planted in their head, allegedly, assuming they haven't looked at anything, which we're going to assume they haven't.
I've just seen in the chat someone put the dogs will sue for defecation, not defamation. Oh dear,
That's funny.
Oh God, that's great. That's so great. All right, and I see guys. I'll get to all of them. I'm working my way through the list here. There's a bunch. So Daniel Chapman says, "Please bring Peter Willett out of retirement for lesbian RotoCop. According to Miss Arnold, he'll get $1 million for the first film, then $100 million for the sequel." I mean, with her valuations, you can literally justify that because anybody can have a meteoric rise. It's preposterous.
Well, the one thing that I don't feel like anybody really addressed is that you have to look at the subject matter too. It's only very few projects that really get people big money these days. And Amber Heard, let's face it, this may have been a breakout role for her, but even like the guy on the stand said today, most likely she was going to either get just a regular studio film or a independent role, and that definitely wouldn't pay more money.
Yep. Nettie says, Chris Melker said on Popcorn Planet that he thinks the Howell declaration could still come in with evidence redacted. Perhaps there was an agreement. No. Howell's already testified. Whatever Howell's testified is in evidence. There's nothing else that's coming in. I mean, at this point, I don't see any reason for the rest of the declaration to come in or any method for it to come in. So
I mean,
you
the
can't
declaration is just hearsay. It's a hearsay document. So
yes.
No way it can be.
I just want to explain this very clearly because people don't understand this. Declarations, okay, that's great. That's well and good. Maybe that's the full scope of what they could potentially testify, absent hearsay objections. But we have something called the confrontation clause in the United States, and that is your right to confront your accuser. And part of that is your right to cross-examine them. That's why we don't just accept written statements into court. We only do it in a very limited circumstance for things like business records that are literally just like a spreadsheet. If it's something you're saying about somebody else, like he said, she said, that's probably hearsay. It's probably objectionable, and it's not admissible. There are rare.
The other thing I want to say about that declaration is the reason she's put that in is so that she can't get sued for defamation if she says any of that stuff in public. Because once you've submitted a court document with that story on it, you can no longer be sued for saying that story.
Yep. Very good point, Jordi. Thank you. Daniel Chapman said, sorry for the terrible spelling, was multitasking, no need to read. No, I read it anyways. V. Sheldrick says, she gets away with everything, so angry. Well, that's what we're trying to stop. You and Who's Our May says, hey man, do you still have a home in Florida? I'm in Tampa now, loving it. Thanks for the content. So my family lives in Florida, so I come back often. I'm actually going to be visiting probably Orlando and Miami. And then I'll be in Texas for a very, very, very short period of time. And I may see if I can visit some other people and do some collaborations while I'm in the U.S. this next time.
I knew there was something fishy about you, man. Central Florida, that's got to be it. I mean, you're practically a Florida man. Yeah.
I was gonna say, but guys, that is not. You guys are Florida neophytes if you think Central Florida is sketchy. You clearly have not been to like the Nature Coast or Florida Bama, the Redneck Riviera.
All I know about Florida is Florida man does this, Florida man does that. That's all we get in the headlines over here. Florida man does this.
Do you know why that's the case? So we have something called sunshine laws. So all of our government records are public records. In a lot of other states, they keep their police records private. They don't put those out there. But Florida, the way our laws are, they're so permissive that essentially every single day, all of our crimes are sent to the newspapers. And because they just put in an automatic request every single day. So because of that, they're getting the full reports, all the information, all the police reports. So the Florida information...
Is that not a breach of privacy?
No, because it's a public record.
It's a public record, yeah.
You get arrested, like that's your punishment for getting arrested. That's why the mugshot websites are so popular, because that's a public record. Like you fucked up.
Yeah, unlike the UK, people actually have a right to information and a right to free speech and things like that.
Excuse me. You have a right to that information over here. You just have to submit FOI, which is a freedom of information request. So rather than it being readily available, you have to request it.
Tell Voldemort that when he went and covered that trial. Andrew, I don't know. Do you know about Voldemort?
I do not know.
Which one are you talking about?
You're not talking about the Harry Potter Voldemort.
And I assume you're not talking about Rick Scott.
No, we're talking about the Englishman with the initials TR. I don't even know if we can talk about him on YouTube.
I think let's not do that, Scott. Another day, and maybe on private. Like, let's not do that. Don't get the channel yeeted, bro. I'm gonna move on though. But Bubba Champ says 189 light blue. Thank you. Just the empty super chat there. Thank you. Joel says for €2 says Elaine will say his real name is Don Kiddick. JMC, I got you here in the chat for the 249. I believe it's Philippine pesos. Says, do you think the jury comes back fast? Say in less than 24 hours for deliberation. Is it good or bad for Team Johnny? Good. I think if they come back quickly, it's good. I think they could come back in an hour or 2 hours. I actually believe that. Like, I fully believe that, JM. So thank you for that. Mephistic Miasma says, how long before jurors get asked, do you watch Tug or Nick Rekieta? That'd be like a good extra voidire right there. Do you watch Rekieta? Do you watch these shyster lawyers? Do you watch LawTube?
That shyster lawyer. Do you know who the Gunt is?
Oh my God. Jesus. Trina Reed says, I agree with Johnny. Amber will only be good for Depends ads. Justin Miller for 7 Aussie says, when you don't have a case to argue on the facts, option 2 is to go for the Hail Mary. BS baffles brains argument and ignore the facts entirely. I think that's like what Jordi was saying. It's just literally going for BS, going for the bamboozle, going for the misrepresentation. They've done it throughout the trial. For example, with the business manager who was sued by Johnny Depp, they had a settlement. So what they asked him was, have you ever had a judgment against you? And the answer to that is no. However,
not only that, they've been misleading the jury and the court anyway by saying there was no perjury investigation in LA. If there is an investigation record, which is that document, that means there was at least, even if it was a minute investigation and they dismissed it immediately, means there was still an investigation.
Bubba Chomp says, Howell's letter mentions embryos and Elon, etc. Tinfoil hat, Amber's kid equal Elon. That's not even that tinfoil. Crazed mixed with genius sounds like Lex Luthor origin story. Oh my God, that actually could be a Lex Luthor origin story. Elon's kid with Amber. Like, that actually could be the origin of the Antichrist. I'm just saying.
Why do you think Elon's putting together a team of lawyers?
Oof. C. Goody says, Avenue Q was great, good memories. Yes, excellent. Kareen, not Karen, says, not true. The ACLU lawyer said it was Elon week 1. Oh, that's true. So there is an Elon reference. So we could get a little bit of Elon in there. Thank you for that. I forgot about that one. Week 1 seems like 10 weeks ago now. Romeo said, Daniel Chapman says, you need to get Barnaby Joyce on the stream. As of the weekend, he's now the former PM, but he was the one prosecuting Amber. He'd totally do it, and he's hilarious. So I'll look into that. I actually am looking into getting, that was for 10 Australian. There's a big Australian TikTok/YouTube lawyer who's been covering this case and covering the perjury case. He's going to come on my channel next week. So that should be great. He does criminal defense, criminal law. He's like spoken at TED Talks and stuff like that. It's a very big Australian lawyer. So I'm going to have him on next week to talk about the perjury trial, the perjury charges in Australia with Amber, which should be really good. Romeo said, was Amber Heard with her ex-wife or girlfriend? Is it fists or scissoring? Maybe Elon knows. Oh my God. Aaron Burnmeister said, seriously though, I'm supposed to believe this man owns an island and Rekieta drinks better than him? Hey man, some people just like to keep it simple. I think Johnny Depp is the guy you can drink a beer with, and he wouldn't care if it's a Rolling Rock and it's not made by some Trappist monks in Belgium. I think he's a guy who's pretty down to earth. It just seems like he's that type of guy. Okay, see Goody tried to get me on the super chat. Nice try, brah. I'm not getting my channel yeeted. So I will not read that I, Andrew Esquire, am going to talk about crypto, right? Because those are topics that get my channel in trouble. So I will not
Well,
say that I
said
approve that. No, I didn't, because I said I don't approve that message. And he does say part of it. Disclaimer: this may or may not be financial advice. But yeah, nice try, C Goody. Nice try, bro. I wish I was drunk. Says, love this channel. Watching from Ireland. I think the thing I like most about the channel is the banter. Keep up the good work. Awesome. So we're caught up, guys. Thank you. So let me jump back here to ask you guys some questions on these witnesses. So what we have left here, essentially we have a couple. This for us for a second. We've got Johnny Depp to come back, and we've got Morgan Tremaine. So
he's not guaranteed yet, is he, though, because of the TMZ filing? So it depends on the verdict for that filing.
Jordi, did you have a thought? Okay, so Scott, I don't know if you heard this, but
yeah, this is new on me.
So let me explain. TMZ filed an emergency motion to pretty much stop Morgan Tremaine from testifying.
Now, is this related? Is this related to Amber Heard selling her story or whatever? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the video that she sold to TMZ.
She sold it to TMZ. It's clear. She's the only person who could have sold it. So TMZ in their motion says, we got the cabinet slamming video from a confidential source.
Yep.
And that Morgan, who's an ex-employee of TMZ, is going to reveal that, or is going to hint at that. But it's weird, because what they do is they want to have it both ways. They say Morgan Tremaine doesn't know the actual source. So they're trying to discredit Morgan Tremaine. Trying to say he doesn't know the actual source. He's just speculating. But yet, we TMZ want to assert journalist privilege to hide our confidential sources. So journalists have a very limited privilege to hide their sources. So if you were a journalist, Scott, and Jordi was your source, if you're asked to testify, hey, tell us your source, you can say, nope, journalist privilege. I'm not going to tell you. It's very limited. But the privilege, here's the key. The privilege typically turns on the journalist themselves. So you, Scott, are the one who has the privilege, and you can choose whether to reveal that Jordi is your source.
Not the agency.
And exactly. So they're trying to get that agency. They're trying to say, oh, well, because we're above them, we want the journalist privilege. It's a very novel area. And this area of law, and Robin from Law and Lumber spoke about this, this is brand new in Virginia law. Yeah. So this is something that really, there's no case precedent for this. There's nothing binding on this judge. It's going to be something that she can go any way she wants. Jordi, did you have a thought on this?
Yeah, so I've actually been looking into the journalistic privilege in the state of Virginia this morning. Mm-hmm. It usually applies in criminal cases mainly. There's not all that many civil cases where it's been applied, and the civil cases where it is applied are in the circuit courts. Basically, they've been applying a three-pronged, basically. You know, when they did
we love three-pronged analysis in the US.
They did three-pronged analysis, didn't they, for him? And they apply a similar three-pronged, and I haven't got it up in front of me right now, but a similar three-pronged approach to determining whether journalistic privilege applies. But the other thing that you've also got to remember is buried deep within all that, it says that during a defamation case, journalistic privilege would only apply where the journalist in question is a party of the case. He's not a party, he's being called as a witness. Therefore, any thingy-majig that he might have, any privilege that he might have, I couldn't think of the word then, any privilege he might have, he can waive. Ordinarily, what you said was technically incorrect. He wouldn't be able to waive that, because if the three-pronged approach was met, then he wouldn't be able to waive that privilege, because you don't, it's especially if TMZ was to file this motion and for it to get passed. But in regards to him being called as a witness, I don't see how they can approve the motion to basically not allow him to testify, because, I mean, first of all, they're saying that he wasn't even the journalist involved. Therefore, journalistic privilege wouldn't be what would apply. It would be a breach of NDA based on the contract that he had whilst under employment, because depending on when that employment ceased, he could potentially still be under an NDA. So what they should have filed for was breach of contract, not for this journalistic privilege.
Yeah. And frankly, here's the thing. They fucked up by not having them sign NDAs, right? If they wanted to stop this.
So he did sign an NDA. An NDA was part of his contract with TMZ.
He signed it. Okay.
Yeah. So the first question is, first of all, how long ago did he leave the employment at TMZ, and when does that NDA expire? But this filing doesn't even mention the NDA and the breach of the NDA, and that's what I'm saying. They should have been filing for a breach of contract, not for journalistic privilege.
Here's one thing, though, they could do, and this was brought up by somebody yesterday, is they could forget about him knowing Amber. He could just testify to TMZ's policy. He could say, here's what TMZ's policies are, which the policies would lead you to believe.
Covered by NDA.
You think so? Yeah, that's right.
So for example, the NDA I've signed with my company, I can't talk about policies, I can't talk about clients, I can't talk about who we are.
It's fair point. Yeah. But the thing is though, Jordi, they don't bring up an NDA in their motion. They don't bring up the NDA at all in the motion.
Because they're not applying a motion for breach of contract. They're applying a motion for journalistic privilege. So an NDA would have no bearing on journalistic privilege in it. But the journalistic privilege doesn't apply when they're saying that he isn't involved in that situation. So he basically, based on their argument, he should be allowed to take the stand, and then Elaine should be able to make the objection of speculation. Right.
If
he doesn't know anything, it's going to be speculation. So,
no, that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
And you guys should see some of the NDAs I've had to sign in the day.
Well, I can only imagine for the military.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I mean, shit, they'll have your I mean, that's a whole separate issue.
It is.
Steele says 8280 says, could the TMZ guy be brought in just to confirm the TRO and the divorce filing was communicated by a source, not by alerts, which Amber testified to? What do you think about that, Jordi? Bringing in him just to confirm the TRO and the divorce filing.
I mean, does he know anything about that first? You've got to lay that foundation first.
I don't know. I don't know whether he does or not.
I mean, that's the foundation they've got to lay first. Is first of all, does he know anything about that? If he knows something about it, then he's either going to confirm or deny it. But again, if he is still under an NDA with TMZ, anything like that, I would have thought that that NDA would be ironclad. I mean, they are a news outlet after all, so things like that would again be covered under their NDA.
Right. Buckeye, thank you, Buckeye. Jenna bringing up $50 super chat says, but he is not being compelled to testify. Yeah, I mean,
he has been issued a subpoena, though, hasn't he? I thought he'd been issued a subpoena.
Was it because he was issued a subpoena? Okay. Well, either way, right? Because every witness is technically compelled to testify, but I don't think he's giving up this information under protest or under assertion of privilege. And he's Johnny Depp's witness, which tells you something, right? A rebuttal witness for Johnny Depp, which tells you something.
Oh, yeah, it's not a criminal case, so no one's actually forcing him to testify. I mean, you can only force someone to testify in a criminal case anyway. So he's definitely either approached Johnny's team or they've approached him, and he's obviously agreed. But I mean, I get what TMZ are doing, and they're like I said, they just seem to be defeating their own argument by saying he has nothing to do it.
Yeah. This is an interesting question for you, Scott. What if you refuse to sign in the military? What happens to you if you refuse to sign your...
Well, I mean, it's kind of like... I mean, here's the thing. You got to go through the whole process of getting a security clearance and all that kind of stuff in order to even get to a point where then you're getting read into a program that has an NDA attached to it. You know, and then so nobody gets to that point and then balks at an NDA. You're looking forward to it because that's just paperwork you need to do the job.
Yeah. Let me get you guys' thoughts on some of these other witnesses here. So what did you think of the hand surgeon? The guy who talked about the severed finger and, the injury. Did you guys think it was this testimony here that he said he could have hit someone, but then it probably would have been injured or damaged the cast, right? And said whether he observed if cast damages when he treated Depp for surgery. He said, I don't recall. Nothing that comes to mind.
I think that was a bad answer. He should have just said no.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it all kind of became Mox Nix at the point where he said, yeah, he could have done all that stuff with his left hand.
But they should have related it to the story, because when he had this cast on, apparently he grabbed her by the hair and smashed her in the face multiple times. And they should have referenced that, and they should have said, would he have been able to grab her in the hand and punch her in the face whilst all that's going on?
He did say that he had multiple fingers in the cast, so it's not like it was like just one finger and he could like use the rest of his hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. I think that one was not. I mean, I think that is not particularly helpful, but I think that we can also see the facts, and the facts don't lead us to believe that Johnny is like. Frankly, it doesn't lead me to believe that Johnny is like, manhandling someone with the cast. I just don't believe. I just frankly, I don't see that or believe that based on the facts we've seen so far. Yeah. This is the one I wanted you to get in on, Jordi, because I know you're a data guy. So the social media and internet analytics expert, did you think he gave an effective counter to Amber's expert with the demonstratives that he showed and all the data that he presented?
So I want to start off by saying I think he was put up there with the intention for him to sink. They wanted to waste time. They wanted Amber's team to waste time on cross-examination, and they did waste a little bit of time on cross-examination, not as much as I expected. And I think that the first demonstrative that he used, where he specifically pointed out that the period of time,
no spike. Yeah,
exactly. And but my issue with that is he was only showing justice for Johnny Depp. That specific line is only for the hashtag justice for Johnny Depp.
Let me see if I play this. I think this video may be it right here. Let's see.
And it even says at the top, articles published at the time, justice for Johnny Depp. And that's my issue with it. He's not showing all of these other hashtags that may have had a small spike during that period of time. I would have liked to see spike
like a multivariant, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Each hashtag had a different color line, so you could see where they're spiking.
Exactly, like they did on the previous day, and he could have just used that exact thing, highlighted the period of time of the Waldman statements, and shown if there was a spike or not. And it makes me think that because he hasn't shown any of the others, is there a small spike, even if it's minute?
Here's the problem with that. I actually enjoyed this part of the testimony just because, as a public affairs officer, my background, we do a lot of this type of social media analytics and whatnot. And I thought that he opened up a big door that they could have really hit him on to show like, oh, so you're saying this one thing didn't work, and like you're saying, Jordi, they could have gone after, well, what about this one, and what about this one, and what about this one, right? You're not showing that on, but they didn't do that either. So this was kind of like, that's
why I think this first section was really good. For Johnny's team, and then it just got worse. I mean, the other demonstratives were kind of useless. They didn't prove anything, and they didn't disprove anything, because I don't really like things that just show numbers, because numbers to people don't really mean much. I mean, yes, I can potentially create some inference from the numbers because I look at numbers all day, every day, and that's my job. But you can't expect the jury just to see those numbers in a table and be able to make that inference themselves.
The one thing that those numbers do, unless challenged, they give some sort of credibility. Like the juror says, well, I don't quite understand what they're talking about, but clearly they've got some data here that shows that Johnny's side is, The problem is that when you give bad numbers or bad data like this, like I said, you're opening up the opportunity for Amber's team. But the problem is Amber's team is incompetent, and that's right. So it still stands as being net positive only because it just lends some amount of imaginary credence to Johnny's story.
I will say though, there are as people in the courtroom have said, there are a few jurors that do look like they are very intelligent and have the kind of like either technology or kind of like database jobs.
Yeah.
Is that a pro-Asian racist bent on?
No.
No.
Apparently, no. Hold on. Because I asked this. So actually, DUI guy who was in the courtroom. I literally, I was on the Ricada and he came on, and they're like, "Oh, there's one guy who is clearly in IT or tech." And I literally asked the question, and I'm like, "Is he Asian?" Right? Because the majority of the jury is Asian. So like, I'm sorry, that's a safe statistical presumption and also stereotypical presumption. And guess what? He wasn't. He was a ginger, right? It's the ginger.
Mm. Well, there's a really big Asian community in Fairfax County. I lived there 2 moves ago. And it's an
any
community.
specific flavor of Asian there, or is it
Annandale, which is kind of like just over on the other side of the Beltway from Fairfax, is where like Little Korea is.
Little Korea, okay.
And so there is a ton, that's why we ended up moving in that area, because it was my wife had multiple.
Full disclosure, Scott, your wife is Korean, right?
That's right.
So,
my wife's Korean, and so we had our choice of Super H Marts to go to, and also the Lotte Mart. So
the Lotte Mart, very nice, very nice. That is very Korean.
Yeah, very Korean.
Miss Mick E says NDA does not matter because that is an issue with the employee and employer. If the employee chooses to break the A, it's the employee's problem, not the court's. Yeah, I mean they're not. This court's not going to enforce that. That's a separate.
They're not going to enforce it. But if TMZ were going to file an emergency motion, it should have been to enforce the NDA and get him shut out because of the NDA, not because of this client this privilege that they got.
Right. What do you guys think about the psychiatrist?
He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was good.
He just ripped Dr. Doofenshmirtz to pieces.
Yes, the Goldwater rule, right?
Yeah, the Goldwater rule, yeah.
So the ethical principle that states that physicians shouldn't voice professional opinions in the media about the mental health of individual they have not personally examined or without consent or legal authority.
Which is exactly what he did.
Exactly. That's literally what he did. Like 100% he did that.
And I'm glad he covered the exceptions to those rules as well, and how Dr. Doofenshmirtz failed to meet those exceptions properly, because there are exceptions to all of these kinds of rules, and it's important for the jury to hear, right, these are the exceptions, and these are how this doctor failed to meet those exceptions.
Well, and that leads that much more credibility to Dr. Muffins too, because she actually examined Amber and did a lengthy series of interviews with her.
Yeah.
So she can. So it's kind of like one side could actually talk shit about the other side, but the other side can't really.
Yeah, because she actually literally examined Amber. That's far different than any other one.
It makes me wonder why Amber's side didn't do the exact same thing to Johnny.
I wonder why. Maybe because they know they wouldn't get the conclusion they wanted. They couldn't find someone who would fake the conclusion.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. Well, they could always have paid for it and then decided not to use the testimony.
That's true. But then they could be asked about that, couldn't they?
Yeah, I guess they could.
It's possible. I think they could be asked about that. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Patricia Smith says, hello from North Carolina. What happened with Jennifer Towle? Howell? Well, we had her video deposition. So, I mean, she's done. Howell is whatever Howell got in the record. That's it, guys. Nothing else is coming with Howell. So that letter that you've seen floating out there, the declaration you've seen floating, none of that is coming in other than what was in the testimony. So if you want to see what's up with Jennifer Howell, go back to yesterday. Find it. It's very short. I think, honestly, if you play it end to end, the Jennifer Howell, it's like 5 or 10 minutes of the whole trial. So go just play that, right? If you want to see what happened with Jennifer Howell, that is all that is in evidence. That is all the jury can consider. That's it. What Jennifer Howell has done. Jennifer Howell, I think it was good for Johnny. I don't think it's the decisive thing, but I think he wins by death by 1,000 cuts for Amber. He's getting these little ding, 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 these first base hits that are going to lead to a score.
So what did you think of Knight? That's his name, right? Knight, the hotel guy. The trailer park guy.
You know what? Let me get the super chat and let's play some of his testimony because I have that queued up actually. GM Strong says Emily Baker said that the more they shoot down JD's data analysts, the more they shoot down their own person. I agree with that because they're shooting down the type of analysis.
Right.
The type of analysis. Okay, so I think so. Here's the thing about the trailer park guy. I can I can take him or leave him. So here's what I want to do. I want to play this and we can pause it and talk about it, because we have a little bit more time to pick this apart. And I want you guys to tell me what you think. Like, if you think when I pause it and guys just say something, be like, hey, like speak up and stop me and I'll pause the video. And I want you to tell me whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Whether you think this is hurting Johnny, it's helping Johnny, it's making them look ridiculous. It's making Elaine look ridiculous because she's a preposterous lawyer. So we'll see this. Oh, I'll get this super chat real quick. Truth, Lies, and Opinions says, has anyone seen JD's wife Vanessa parodies on YouTube? I don't speak French, but I'm hooked on her singing Soulful, She Rocks, Baby Girl Can Dance. Legal, you love her moves, 100%. Amber Heard, not comparable. You know me already. You know how your boy mindset moves. So I will check her out. Honestly, I haven't seen her, but I'll check it out, especially if you're coming in with a good recommendation here. It may not be K-pop, but I'll still get down with it, guys. All right, so here's the Hicksville witness.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case under penalty of law? I do.
Sir, have a seat.
Does it sound good for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Good afternoon, Mr. Knight.
Good afternoon, Camille.
Would you please state your full name for the
That
record?
bottle of water.
Morgan Higby Knight.
You can leave the bottle of water
Mr. Knight,
behind.
where are you from?
I live in Los Angeles, California.
And what do you do for a living?
So I currently own and run Hicksville Pines Bud and Breakfast in Idlewild, California. And I created and ran Hicksville Trailer Palace in Joshua Tree, California, starting in 2009.
Okay, I'm just going to pause this. Did you guys catch the Bud and Breakfast reference?
No.
He said, so he runs a Bud and Breakfast. Get it? Get it?
Oh, is it like a pot deal?
Yeah. So yeah, you get high, you sleep in, you get over, you get high. Like I was like, oh, that's so California.
That is very California.
That's very, very, very California.
And how is Hicksville Pines Bud and Breakfast different from Hicksville Trailer Palace?
So Hicksville Pines Bud and Breakfast is up in the mountains of Idlewild, which is a beautiful snow town above Palm Springs. And all the units are A-frames instead of trailers, which we have. It's obviously a very different climate than Joshua Tree, which is a desert area. The rooms, which are themed at both places, are trailers, vintage trailers from the 50s through the 70s at Hicksville Trailer Palace. So there's also different kind of amenities. There's a pool in Joshua Tree. There's a rec room up at Hicksville Pines.
When did you first become the owner of the Trailer Palace?
Trailer Palace, I started building it in 2009. It took about a year with my collaborator, Stephen Butcher, and on the trailers.
By the way, I want to show you guys this real quick because I think this is material here. So this is Hicksville Trailer Palace, right? These are not this is not like poverty trailers, okay? You're not like this is like definitely
it's
what
glamping.
I would call glamping. Thank you. This is glamping. This is nowhere near roughing it. There's no, people who may or may not take your kidney and sell it on the black market. This is not what you would typically
do. Yeah.
What do you say, Jordi?
You don't expect Johnny Depp to be roughing it, do you?
Honestly, I don't know because the guy hung out with Hunter S. Thompson, right?
Yeah.
So
Hunter S. Thompson would get in gunfights with his neighbor.
So that's where I'm like, and they were best friends. So I kind of, and if you look at his friends like Isaac Baruch and whatever, I feel like he is friends with some.
He's kind of edgy, some edgy kind of people. Well, fun fact: Hunter S. Thompson actually graduated from my high school, so.
Oh, awesome.
So I actually got to meet him my senior year. They inducted him into the Hall of Fame.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And we got done and opened in 2010.
Did there come a time that you sold the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Yeah, I did at the beginning of 2020. I had some health issues and it was too much to run both at the same time. So I chose Idlewild because it was newer and shinier.
And just for my sake, how long did you own the Trailer Palace?
So 10 years of us being open, 11 years total.
And what was the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
So it started out as a artist retreat. I was a filmmaker at the time and wanted a place to get away and work on film projects outside of Los Angeles. I also put in a recording studio so musicians could record records there. I had lived in New Orleans for 5 years, and there was an amazing recording studio there called Kingsway, where all the musicians would come and they'd live in this big mansion and record their records. And I just thought that was a really neat thing for artists to be able to get away and create create whatever they were working on. Over the course of the build out of all the trailers, themed trailers, which I'm a huge fan of this hotel called Madonna Inn. And so I wanted to do really detailed themed trailers. It became too expensive to just make a living off of an artist retreat. So I decided before I was done to make it a hotel as well.
And what were your job responsibilities, generally speaking, when you owned the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
So I would be live-in manager some nights, a couple nights a week. I would also drive out from Los Angeles twice a week and bring supplies that you can't get out in the Yucca Valley area and Joshua Tree. There's just a lot of things like, Smart and Finals, Costco's and stuff. So I would drive that stuff out. There's also no USPS. So sometimes I'd have to get things shipped to my house and drive them out as well. I would also just do constantly building and creating new stuff at Trailer Palace, whether it's new trailers or amenities. So I would be working on that stuff as well. I'm a big fan of the fact that Disneyland is always making it better and better.
It's not Disneyland. I'm just going to say that real quick.
It seemed quirky and nice, but not Disneyland.
It's not Disneyland.
The live-in manager, does that mean that you spent the night at the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Yeah, we have a house on site where the recording studio was, and there's a bedroom in there. So whoever is live-in manager those nights stays in the house and basically lives there. There's a kitchen and everything.
Have you ever met the plaintiff in this case, Mr. Depp?
I had met him really briefly at the Viper Room in the late 90s. I worked with some of the people that performed there and was good friends with this girl Robin from the Pussycat Dolls and some other friends in this band, The Imposters. So I was there and I met him once.
How about Miss Heard? Ever met her?
I had never met her before. They were guests at the hotel.
When was the first time that you met Mr. Depp and Miss Heard together?
In late May 2013, when they were guests, Mr. Depp's assistant Nathan had rented out the entire place so they could have a night there in privacy.
And what do you recall, if anything, about Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's arrival to the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Mr. Depp got lost.
That I believe. That's very credible. That's very credible right there.
Security guard who arrived early asked me if I could go fetch them because he had an old car that didn't really fare on the dirt roads out there, which are pretty horrible. So I went out and made sure that they got themselves and the car back to Hicksville safely.
Do you remember approximately at what time that was?
It was 3 to 4 in the afternoon.
What was Mr. Depp's demeanor when they first arrived?
At Trailer Palace, he was super excited about the place, really complimentary, just had a lot of questions and just seemed like he was in a really great mood.
And how about Miss Heard's demeanor? Anything stick out?
She was pretty quiet. She just kind of didn't say that much when I was giving them the tour of the grounds and the trailer.
So would you say frigid? I know you guys called me out. That's a 90s word, but I mean, frankly, I think that's a very accurate description. Just her demeanor here does not do her any justice.
No, not at all.
Was anyone else with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard when they first arrived?
There's people that are arriving throughout the afternoon. So there was, I think 10 to 12 people total ended up staying. The security guard had gotten there earlier and just to check out the place. But yeah.
And did I understand your testimony previously that the entire trailer park was rented out by Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
Yeah, the whole place slept, I believe at the time, about 25 people, but there was only 10 to 12 in this party.
And who was part of that party besides Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
I'm really horrible with names, but I remember one of them was Ms. Heard's sister and the security guard I mentioned before, but I honestly forgot his name too.
What happened?
Look at Elaine. She looks like she's just like fervently writing, just ready to come here. This shows how kind of unplanned it is.
Well, the other thing too is I think it was during this part that I remember seeing Amber passing notes back to. I guess it was to Elaine.
Passing back to Elaine. Okay.
When Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard first came onto the property.
So I gave them a tour we give all guests a tour of their specific trailer and the grounds and show them around when someone rents the whole place, they get another trailer called the bar trailer, which is basically a place to set up their alcohol and stuff. And some people in the group were just putting their beverages in that area.
And where were you when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, did there come a time when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard went to the bar trailer?
I didn't notice most of the time that my interactions with them, everything's kind of centrally located. So there's a fire pit, bar trailer, and picnic tables all right in the same area. So they were generally around that area the entire evening that I saw them.
And what did you observe of Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard as the evening progressed?
So Mr. Depp was super curious and really nice. He was also really interested in my innkeeper because she was a musician, so they would talk about music a lot. At one point, the innkeeper who lived at the next door property went home and grabbed her guitar, and they had sung a song or two around the campfire in the early evening. There was another instance where Mr. Depp, the innkeeper, her name was Jenna, and myself were talking about books and music, and Ms. Heard came over and kind of interjected. She seemed a little annoyed that Mr. Depp wasn't spending time with her.
What about Ms. Heard's demeanor made you think that she was annoyed?
I think just generally she, it's hard. Like I think, I don't know. It was just like a gut reaction. Like I can't describe it.
Is that credible to you guys, this description here?
Yeah, so I thought about this when I was watching it, and what I think, first of all, this guy is kind of weird, right?
He's a weirdo, right? No, let's say it. Like he has very weird mannerisms. He's an odd duck, right? Let's get that out of here.
And what he's trying to do is he's trying to contextualize what he saw her do and how it's like what she did that actually made him think that, And I could only imagine her being kind of subdued and kind of, because she doesn't feel kind of like in the in group in that situation, and she wants attention, and so she's doing the kind of like the, hey Johnny, but she's maybe being a little subtle about it, and because she's being subtle, a guy like him, he's sensitive and all, but he's still a guy. We're terrible at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he seems like right. So men by default, and this is once again the thing. Women are typically have more social acuity,
right.
More paying attention to subtle body cues, facial gestures. They're better at noticing facial gestures. There's also a study that women are better at spotting lying than men. But in this case, he seems like he might be a little bit less socially inept than the average guy. So what he thinks is weird and not weird might be even lower, right? Jordi?
I also think kind of what he's saying has been, I know they haven't had much time to prep him, and he wasn't overly prepped, but I don't know. I don't know how much I believe he can actually remember from that long ago. Like, I would remember Johnny Depp coming to my trailer park, yes. And I might remember the specific conversations that I had with him, but I don't think I would be able to remember any of the extra details that he's providing. I mean, maybe some people can. I don't, I'm not sure if I buy it. It's the one story amongst all of this that I just don't think I buy, and that's him.
And we'll play the rest of it and see like whether or not.
So real quick, Rob. I'm interested, Jordi. Real quick, are you leaning towards like he's looking at this as a business opportunity and kind of an opportunity? Maybe Johnny Depp will do nice things for him afterwards.
To be honest, I hadn't even thought of that. I was just thinking about whether I think he's believable or not. But you know, he could well be. Do I think he would be? I mean, anybody would do anything for business opportunity, right? I guess. But
we're in the age of clout chasing, you know.
Well, we are, yeah, and we're in the middle of a trial that's all about that. So,
yeah. And this is like the definition of clout chasing.
I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I just don't find him 100% credible.
I'll get the super chat here real quick. Raven Al says that Umbrella Guy IMDb page has the quartering Jeremy's second page listed at himself. That's odd. Maybe we'll pull up that in a second, but that's kind of odd. Maverick says, how do you think the leftiff MSN and Celebrities Hollywood is going to play this over the next few months? No way that they will believe all women is a sham. I think it depends a lot, Maverick, on what the outcome of this trial is. I think the outcome of this trial will depend on how the MSM plays it. If literally Johnny Depp gets a victory here, I think some of the mainstream media is going to have to spin this differently than others. There'll also be an incentive for some of the mainstream media to go in the way of Johnny, because I think there's a W. Do I think all mainstream media will? No, that I will be very clear about that. Some of the mainstream media has dug in so hard for Amber Heard, I don't think they can dig themselves out. But that's my 2.5 cents. Do you guys have a separate take on that? Maybe Scott and Jordi?
Well, my thought is that they're kind of pot committed at this point, right? So until they hear something different, they kind of inertia keeps dragging them in one direction. Now, if it'll be kind of like, we knew it all along if it doesn't go their way, because no matter what way the ruling comes down in the end, they're going to jump to the winner, and play that out, I think.
Some of these two super chats here. National Populist says the Hicksville guy's Twitter is commie cringe. This is hilarious. And Just a Dude says that this dude destroys Pennington's claims about how trash the trailer was. So let's get to that, because he gets to that right here.
Yeah.
How long were you with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard that evening, generally?
So throughout the course of the evening, I was probably mostly with Mr. Depp, but 45 minutes to an hour total. So it was, that's over the whole course until the end of the night after the check-in.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to observe Mr. Depp interact with other people, guests on the property that evening?
Yes, I saw him hanging out with his security guard at one point, and outside of the time that him and Jenna were singing around the campfire, he was off by himself a lot of the time, and Miss Heard was over at the campfire with her friends and seeming to have a good time.
And if you haven't already, can you generally describe for the jury your observations of Miss Heard that evening?
She seemed to be having a really nice time with her friends around the campfire. Everyone was in a pretty good mood.
Did there come a time in the evening that you observed Mr. Depp and Miss Heard have a disagreement or an argument?
Yes. I was speaking with Mr. Depp, just one-on-one, talking about Hicksville, and Miss Heard came over, and she said that I want to talk to you, and seemed really upset about something. So I went and back in the house, because it was really, they went off on their own, and she started yelling at him, and I didn't want to hear it. It honestly was really triggering, because I've been in an emotionally abusive relationship before.
Here's the thing about that, though. That information just got to the jury.
You can't pull it out of their heads.
No, I was gonna say once that's there, it's there.
We said you can't unring that bell.
Yeah,
and they told him
hear that.
He would have given his story of what happened to him to JD's lawyers, and they would have said, do what you can to get that shred of information into the jury's minds. They would have wanted him to get that out there 100%.
Yeah,
100% that men can be abused, and that it reminds him of abuse that he suffered.
Yeah. I believe that. I believe that, and like that part of him is credible. But I like he said he goes.
So this is what he just said. Now you believe that he actually suffered abuse in his past, right? It's credible.
Yeah. The reaction he gives, like, and in a minute, he when he takes a sip back afterwards and like has a drink of water, he almost looks like he's about to cry. So I believe his response is genuine there. I mean, he's not an actor, I don't think, and so I think that's genuine. I just, like, he said he goes into his house after Amber pulls him away, so he would see that initial reaction and would see Amber pulling him away. But then once you've gone into the house, based on the distances that they describe later on in this part of the testimony, I'm not quite sure how you would see or hear anything when you've admitted that during the night you didn't hear Johnny trashing the caravan or even breaking the light or whatever altercation happened in the trailer.
That's true. Let's play it and get the rest of this testimony in here.
Move to strike.
What's the objection?
You're up. May we approach?
Okay, sure.
And let's go a little bit ahead here because we don't need to watch.
Yes. So Ms. Heard asked him to go talk off to the side, and she was upset at him, and she was yelling at him. And I personally had been in
Objection. All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay.
If you could just explain to the jury what you observed when you saw Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard having an argument.
Okay. He was kind of cowering and seemed almost afraid, and it was really like odd to see because he was older than her, obviously. So, but I just went back in the house because I didn't
Objection. You went to what he did.
All right, I'll sustain as to.
But this is very interesting, though, because once again, he's a man, he's older, he's taller. These are all factors which traditionally you would say, if you're assessing a situation, who's the abuser and who's the victim? You'd say typically guy, older, bigger physically, right? Therefore, he's the abuser. But you're seeing in the situation where they're painting a picture that Amber is the aggressor in this particular scenario.
So after you observed the argument, fair to say you went back to your house on site?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. What happened after that?
So when I saw Mr. Depp on my next rounds, he apologized profusely and said, "I'm really sorry about that." She was upset.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustain. Next question.
That was hearsay.
What, if any, type of reaction did Mr. Depp have?
He was just really...
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay. He's going to say it again.
It's the reaction. It's not the statement.
All right, if you could make that clear, that's fine.
Just what type of physical reaction did Mr. Depp have after the argument between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
He honestly, throughout the rest of the night, became a lot more quiet and was just very more petulant. In the beginning of the night, he was a lot more outgoing and extroverted, and throughout, as the course of the night went on, he was less and less so and more quiet.
Did you observe any of the guests consuming alcohol while on the property?
I assume they were. I mean, people had cups and there was alcohol set up in the bar trailer, but I didn't physically see
I like
that.
how they have a trailer for the bar.
Cup and
That's actually nice, though. I mean, honestly, having a bar trailer sounds pretty cool. I thought about that. I'm like, I kind of want a bar trailer. That does sound cool.
cup going to the mouth, per se.
Did you witness Mr. Depp drink any alcohol that evening?
I couldn't say.
Anything about Mr. Depp's demeanor that made you think he was perhaps intoxicated?
Yes, as the night went on, I am a former bar owner, so even though I wasn't drinking that night, I'm very familiar with the signs. So just as the night went on, like I said, he became more and more quiet, but he also, as we would have conversations, his head would kind of sway a little bit back and forth, which was a little, he was much less sharp than he was earlier in the night.
Did Miss Heard appear intoxicated to you?
She did. She seemed, I think when she was angry at him, it seemed like she was intoxicated, but that's just based on my experience and my own personal trauma dealing with abuse.
Objection, Your Honor, move to strike.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. We'll strike it from the record.
That was a slow objection.
She took way too long because that had time to set in, to sink in, and then she made the objection. So like we got a chance the jury definitely had a chance to absorb that. You've got to speak over him at that point.
Yeah. And I think I think that that part of his story there is quite credible. He's clearly owned a bar. He knows what drunk people look like. What I would have liked to see there to build on that credibility is to just ask him, how many bars have you owned? What bars have you owned? Just because it adds to that layer of credibility.
Yeah.
Yes. And let me catch, had 2 super chats I want to catch real quick here that just came in. Johan says Quentin Tarantino is going to play this guy for a movie. That's pretty freaking hilarious. And then we had one from Sophia again, which was $34.99 New Zealand, which says this guy was so real, kept it 100 the whole time through. What are we thinking for tomorrow's witnesses? Felt like real testimonies are being heavily held down by what we saw today. Well, actually, I think we're going to have, coming up, we're going to have some really, really, really good witnesses, some solid witnesses today and tomorrow. So I think like the heavy hitter witnesses you're going to see today and tomorrow. Because remember, human memory, we tend to remember the first and the last thing. So you want to end strong. You want to place your stuff that they're really going to remember, the thing that's sticking in their head last. Because you can't do first anymore. Now you got to do last. Jordi?
Yeah, I think we might see the metadata guy today because he's on the witness list and hasn't been called yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in today, and maybe some of that redacted metadata gets unredacted and maybe debunked.
Where would you do that during the day, Jordi? Would you do that beginning of the day or end of the day?
I would want that fresh on the jury's mind as they end the day, personally, depending on who else they're going to bring today. Like I said, if it was me, I would bring Kate Moss and JD tomorrow. But I wouldn't. I would bring them tomorrow so they are the last thing the jury sees because they've got 11 hours left, which means they're going to go into tomorrow. So I would bring JD and Kate Moss tomorrow, do a few more experts, and if you've got anybody else to rebut somebody like Whitney, then bring them in today, do the meta guy at the end of the day, kick off with Kate Moss tomorrow, finish with JD just before lunch or just after lunch tomorrow, and rest your case.
Well, here's what I want to know. What's the clock left on?
3 hours 15 for Amber Heard's, I believe.
Yes.
And
if
11 hours
11.
and 21 some odd for Johnny's.
They've got to be saving at least half of that time, or at least an hour of it for Johnny, I would assume. So that means they're going to automatically limit themselves for anything else besides him.
But they're not going to, though, are they? If there's something they can argue, like Dr. Curry today, that's going to be a lengthy cross-examination. If the meta guy provides argumentative evidence that they can argue against, that will be a fairly lengthy cross-examine. So today is all about wasting Amber Heard's time.
Yeah, that's right.
I agree with that for sure.
Did you observe anyone do or take drugs?
I did not.
That super
Did you
chat's
witness
good.
Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard interact?
Oh, sorry. Let me get it then real
That's
quick.
fantastic.
You guys are cracking up here. Brian says this guy is basically the guy with the baby hand and scared me too. Take my strong hand. Brian, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate it. You guys crack me the fuck up, and I love you. This is why the Legal Mindset, we have the best chat, because you guys are fucking hilarious, and I love it.
Other than the argument that you previously described for the jury?
At the end of the night, I heard a commotion. I was inside the house and came out. I couldn't tell what was going on. And Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were having a discussion about I'm not sure what, but then they went to their trailer. At that point, a lot of people had already gone to bed. So it just kind of petered out. Everyone went to bed, including myself, and I didn't hear anything else the rest of the night.
What?
This witness,
Hold on, let me see if they get right. Here we go. Scroll.
It's not being offered for the truth, Your Honor. I mean, may we approach on this
Okay,
one topic?
sure.
Thank you.
So what question was that they said it's not being offered for the truth? Because I missed the question yesterday as
Yes,
well.
I was informed that.
Objection, hearsay.
I remember that. Let me hold on a second.
Here you
It
go.
was
Here you go. Did something happen that caused
To
you
go to Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's trailer.
to go to Mr. Depp and Mr. Heard's? Miss Depp and Mr. Heard's trailer.
So I can see how that would be offered
Yes, I was
to
informed.
prove the point, because the point is that he went to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's trailer, and if he's saying he went there based on what the innkeeper said, then I would have thought Hearsay would stand up on that.
Yeah, let's see this.
Objection, hearsay.
It's not being offered for the truth, Your Honor. I mean, may we approach on this
Okay,
one topic?
sure.
Thank you.
So they approach.
let me ask you a question. If
All right,
I were to testify that I heard Amber Heard say something, then that's obviously hearsay. But
no,
no,
she's a party opponent.
no.
Nope, she's a party opponent.
And not only that,
There's a section there.
you saying that she told you something isn't hearsay. If you say what she told you, that's the part that's hearsay. If she was the witness.
You can just say we had a conversation.
Yeah.
Or, you know that's fine.
And then you can characterize the conversation. She was upset when she was talking to me.
She smelled like she was drinking $500 wine. No, I'm joking.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you know, you could say that. I smelled wine in her breath. I saw her. She looked angry. She looked pissed off. She looked enraged. You can see it's.
You would
think about
have
your
to
senses.
describe her rather than the conversation. Like this, I don't like it when like Elaine gets people to summarize the conversation either, because again, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be asking somebody what they took away from the way the person reacted to the conversation.
Right. Exactly.
Now, is this why on some of those text messages they redact the other half of the text because it's hearsay?
Yes.
But it's not hearsay if it's in black and white, though, right?
Well, there's also something called the rule of completeness. So you need to show stuff in context. They almost got all of Tug's Twitter post in. They managed to get like the picture in, but not the text. But I was like, oh man, they should have gotten everything in, because I'm sure Tug had something savage to say. I'm sure it was a fucking great.
And if they had gotten that in, it would have been out there and more publicity, more money for Tug.
And Elaine tried to say that was a video. Is there any proof of that? Because if you look at the picture admitted into evidence,
like
there's no.
It's a tweet, right?
Yeah, there's no, because on Twitter videos you have the little numbers in the bottom right-hand corner, and there's none of that. It just looks like a still image.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, because this does cover the cross, so we will jump to that in just 1 second here.
In the studio with me, and we've both been talking at the same time.
Ms. Heard's trailer, so I wanted to inspect the trailer because I was extremely worried. All those trailers that Steve and I worked on were like my babies, and the one they were staying in was the only one that was mostly original and restored 1950s style, and so I was very concerned.
So what did you observe when you went to the trailer?
I observed that there was a light sconce by the bathroom in the bedroom that had been broken off the wall, and a couple pieces were on the floor, and they were, it was basically just broken. The light fixture was hanging on the wall still, except for the pieces that were on the floor.
Did you come to understand how that happened?
Objection, foundation, and
All right,
light.
foundation. I'll sustain as to foundation. How you knew?
Did you ask how the sconce was broken?
Objection, hearsay. Sustained.
Camille's
How often
really
do
so
light
Camille's pushing it. I think Camille knows. You know, she's not Elaine. I think Camille knows, and she's pushing the limit here.
She's pushing the limit because she's asking it wrong. She should have said, "How did you know about the way in which the sconce was broken?" Because then he's going to say, "Johnny told me" or "Amber told me," and that's it. You end it there because you can't include the actual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a better one, Jordi.
Go on.
What, if anything, did you know about the sconce?
No.
Just self-owner. Just do it. Do
No.
it. User
What,
only.
if anything,
Yes.
should
yes.
not be used.
Do it.
It
Do
should
it.
be-
Do it. Do it. Do it.
No.
Yes. Take it. Take it, Elaine.
They break pretty often. I mean, it's not like a usual thing, but things in the trailers generally get broken because it's all vintage trailers. And I would say as much as every couple weeks, there's some incident of damage in one of the trailers. In this case, Mr. Depp had told me that.
Objection, hearsay. Objection.
So anyway, yes.
Beyond the light fixture, was anything else in the trailer damaged?
No, everything else looked fine. In fact, we have something we call a Piggy Feet that we address to guests.
That made me laugh too. I was like,
Yeah.
Piggy Feet, really?
I had to do it. I was doing something else when I was listening to this, and I actually had to stop that and rewind. I was like, "What the hell did you just say?"
Piggy Feet, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's anything what we call inconsiderate or unusually large messes, we charge them extra for it for a $25 an hour cleaning fee. But they did not receive one of those because everything
That's a cheap cleaning fee, honestly. Like, that's not that bad at all.
outside of light fixture looked fine.
And what was your reaction to seeing the damaged light fixture?
To be honest, I was relieved because it was not a big deal. There was already another light in the room. So I just tucked the wires in the wall until I had a few months later time to buy, it was matching sconce with another one in the room. So I had to, on eBay, find a matching pair that would fit there. And when I finally got around to it, I was able to get that and charge it to Nathan, whose credit card I had.
And what was your understanding of who Nathan was?
Mr. Depp's assistant.
Okay. And what did you charge Nathan or Mr. Depp for replacing that pair of light fixtures?
The pair came out to $62.
I would have liked to see like a credit card statement there proving.
Ooh, yeah.
Because again, it adds to credibility. This is why I say there are just certain
That's right.
holes
Good
that I
point.
can poke into it, and I'm
Good
purposefully poking holes into it, like people
Yeah.
in the chat have said. I mean, that's my job
That's
on a
what
daily
you
basis.
should do. That's what we should do. Because the point is, we're not saying, and we say this on a lot of other channels. A lot of law tubers would say this. Obviously, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it from here in our chairs, pausing it, saying we would have done it differently. But that's what you want to add to this commentary. But go ahead, Scott.
Now, I'm no lawyer, but I know for a fact that I'm smarter than some lawyers that I know. But that being said, not you, Andrew. Of course, you're way smarter than me.
Okay, it's like last invite you get ever. Okay, go ahead, Scott. Go ahead, Scott.
You're still single, man. You're way smarter than me.
That is very true. Facts.
But
go ahead.
no. So I mean, it seems to me like Elaine goes hard in the paint against like into the credibility stuff with the social media, whatnot, and all that kind of stuff. That seemed like a mistake to me, right? Unless you were going to draw a really strong, hey, what are you getting out of this? Now, she did bring that up, but she sounded stupid when she did it. If it sounds to me like with a guy like this, instead of going like flashy, you get really into the weeds on the details. Just like what Jordi was talking about. Okay, well, so you said that they paid for, do you have the receipt from that? Or do you have the accounting for that can prove that this event, that's what was broken? Do you have any other records that would show anything else that might have been broken that night, or to prove that that's the only thing that wasn't broken? You know what I mean? Like just really kind of no, I don't. Oh, okay, well, how do we know you're not just lying? How
is there any CCTV footage?
Right.
Because most of these places would have at least one camera somewhere, surely.
Right.
And just mundane stuff that's not flashy. I think that's where you kind of chip away at a guy like this.
And I think that's where Elaine's team dropped the ball. There were holes to be poked. They just didn't poke them.
That's
see,
true.
even Jordi says that I'm smarter than Elaine is.
Well, I mean, I think most of the people in the chat.
That's a low bar.
That's a very low bar.
I mean, to be smarter than Elaine, you have to be smarter than Amber, and that's not hard either.
Well, isn't Elaine also a secret Johnny Depp simp, and she's really just throwing the whole thing for Johnny?
For Johnny, yeah, that's the theory.
I mean, I am shocked they
Johnny.
argued on the motion to dismiss. I thought they would have just eaten that motion to dismiss, to be fair.
I think what's going to happen on the last day of the trial, Johnny Depp's going to be driving out of that kind of security area, and right as he's saying goodbye to the crowd, there's going to be a shrill voice, from the courthouse, and it'll be Elaine standing on the edge of the. She's like, "I did it all for you, Johnny," and then she'll jump and hang like in The Omen.
Oh dear!
Like the scene from The Omen.
Oh God!
Wow!
Minecrafting herself right after his.
As the alpacas watch on.
That's right.
While you were on site, Mr. Knight, did you ever wear a mesh shirt?
No, I would absolutely.
What was the point in this question? What was the point in this question?
What the fuck is that? He's wearing a mesh shirt, like relevance?
Exactly. Objection, relevance. Objection, foundation.
I was going to say I would have objected on foundation. I would have said compound.
Yeah.
Objection, wardrobe choice.
At any time during Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's stay on the property, did you see Mr. Depp become physical with anyone?
Objection leading. Overruled. That's good.
I'm sorry, that answer was?
I never saw Mr. Depp get physical with anyone when I saw him.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Here we go. Cue the cat lady.
Mr. Knight, you are a pretty big fan of Johnny Depp, aren't you?
I am not, to be honest.
That, by the way, that's a good thing if you can get people to just laugh. And they didn't quiet that down too much. It's very good.
Throughout the evening,
Sorry, I just asked you one question. I didn't
apologize.
ask you the rest of that. You wanted to participate in this trial, didn't you?
Control there.
Yeah, we'll see. But Elaine does come off as a see you.
She comes off as a jerk. Yeah.
As a see you next Tuesday.
Good witness control.
He did not. I was asked by the attorney, and I wanted to. They asked me, and I said I'll be happy to come and tell the truth.
You knew this was on camera, that it was being broadcast to a lot of people, and you saw testimony, did you not, in this case? And you seized the moment and responded to the umbrella guy, the lead person for Mr. Depp's Twitters.
The umbrella guy.
Umbrella guy.
I mean, that's wrong.
The lead person for Johnny Depp's Twitters.
Right.
So
what does that even mean?
So is that now confirmed then that Tug is on Johnny Depp's payroll?
That's right. Man,
that's what she's implying there. She's trying to mislead the jury and say that Tug is on JD's payroll without actually saying Tug is on JD's payroll.
Right.
Which is completely outrageous.
Yeah, it's preposterous. I mean,
Tug would have more subscribers if that were the case.
Exactly. He pays some bots.
Tug would have the attention he deserves.
That's right.
Exactly. He didn't really, Tug never really blew up till this went to trial. There were a lot of people watching it. Yes, right. It was getting views, but it didn't go to the moon till the trial started.
Did you not?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative compound.
Overruled.
Mr. Umbrella Guy is the lead.
Mr. Umbrella Guy.
You know that he leads one of the most predominant pro-Depp Twitters out there.
I have.
Now I can understand how when you analyze it, you can come to that conclusion if you're trying to say that Johnny Depp is lying. Because obviously, based on the majority of the evidence, a lot of what Johnny says is true, and obviously Tug reports on what is true. So basically, Elaine is trying to say that anybody reporting the truth in this case is pro Johnny Depp, which isn't necessarily true.
Yeah, just 45 seconds ago, Tug just tweeted out, Amber Heard involved. Somebody asked, why are you involved in all this? And he says, Amber Heard involved me in Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard because I, like many, unapologetically discussed the facts of this case for years. She threatened many because of that. She subpoenaed Twitter for the user info of over 200 users. That's the threat. I speak and I'll expose you.
Yeah, and that's right here. Versus what you're talking about right here, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, Amber Heard involved me. Yeah. She's been threatened because that she subpoenaed Twitter for user info for over 200 users. That's a threat. Speaking of exposure. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. And that's replying to the question, honest question from someone not following the trial. Why were they talking about your tweets yesterday? How are you involved?
Yeah, I mean, Tug's doing the Lord's work. I mean, he's doing hard work
and look
here.
At this. And look at this. Yesterday, mainstream media reached out asking why I backed Johnny Depp. Why not ask domestic abuse survivors why they overwhelmingly backed Johnny Depp and not Amber Heard? There's a story they want to ignore. Bro, that's why I love Tug, because he's that's a fucking based response, and it's facts.
And the MSN will try and discredit him as much as they can because it takes attention away from them.
Well, he actually gets to the heart of the issue, right? I mean, that's the reason why he has the super strong following that he has.
Exactly. And by the way, speaking of followings, Judith, thank you for following and becoming a member. You now have access to the emojis, to the soju, to the toilet, to the Andrew, to the Adam, which is my hoodie personality, the cat girl, the vampire girl. Going to have other emojis added for a while. Also, when I see your chats, I'll try to make sure I catch them, especially if it's a slow day and not a crazy trial day. But thank you for that.
No idea. I don't care or follow the umbrella guy.
In fact, you do follow a Twitter called Johnny Depp fan, don't you?
So here's what's
this
interesting,
is actually
right?
true as well.
It is true or it isn't true?
It
so
is.
Look,
so people were checking his Twitter afterwards.
So check it out, right? My name is M. Scott McCullough right here on Twitter, right?
And you can change your username.
I can change my
displays.
username to work. And if Andrew, if you change yours from Legal Mindset to Legal Dumbset or something like that, I would never even know that. And, and so somebody says, "Why are you following Legal Dumbset?" What are you talking about? I follow Andrew. He's Legal Mindset. Well, it says over here that it's. Oh, he's just changed it to I hate Amber Heard. Look at that open hatred. You're supporting that? I'm like,
and when you followed him, was that his name?
That's right.
And
the answer, of course, is no.
This is what happens. This is what happens when boomers are asking questions about tech. They don't understand this.
And
this
like,
takes us back to Pension Zoom, doesn't it?
People are saying he was lying because he said he didn't follow the umbrella guy. He's not lying because if he follows anyone, he probably follows Tug, which is that umbrella guy, not the umbrella guy. So there was no technical lie in his answer.
Mm-hmm. That's Elaine fucking up. The details matter. That's Elaine fucking up.
Here's the other thing too, right? If this guy were to follow Tug, he might, if he's just catching Johnny Depp stuff, he may like it for a little bit. But as soon as Tug started doing base tweets that he does every day, this guy would completely unfollow him. I mean, he's a total, soy boy.
Yeah. When he sees, like, that's the point for a lot of this. Like, when people see, they like the Johnny Depp coverage people have, but when they cover other topics, they're going to be like, nah, I'm out, right?
Yeah. This guy's a Trump supporter? I'm out of here.
Right. Or whatever. This person is supporting, right? This person is anti, whatever it is, right? Anti-lockdowns or whatever it is, right? And they're going to say, oh, not following him anymore, right? It's selective. I like this one. Legal mind sex. Yes, that's going to be my change.
Legal minds.
You don't.
That'll be your April Fool's Day change.
What did you say, Jordi?
That can be your April Fool's Day change next year.
Nice. Good one.
It is my testimony under oath.
All right. And on April 21st, Mr. Depp testified in this case about Hicksville, didn't he?
I wasn't here.
And in fact, you tweeted in response to the umbrella guy on April 20th.
The way she says it, like just the way, like the amount of like craziness about it. It's so funny.
1:22. Quote, that never happened. I was with them all night. Amber was the one acting all jealous and crazy. Do you recall writing that?
I do recall writing that.
Michelle, can you bring that up, please?
See, and that's where my
We're gonna call
credibility
it
for him
defendant's
goes.
1903?
1903.
And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to redact, but leave in the umbrella guy and the date and the bringing in the Hicksville. Your Honor, I'm sorry.
And this is when Camille's about to object here.
Yeah, she wants completeness of evidence.
Right. So Camille's going to object. They have a little.
And while we're looking at that, 4 days after you tweeted to Umbrella Man,
I was Umbrella Guy.
Completely owned her there.
Oh no.
Owned. Freaking owned. It's so good.
Well,
So
but you
good.
know, this is the kind of thing, you know, they were talking about cognitive problems. I mean, this is, Elaine shows cognitive problems all the time. These little stuff.
I mean,
exactly.
She definitely does anyway, because she doesn't press him on the tweet and the wording of the tweet, and that's where he loses credibility for me, because in the wording of the tweet, he says he was with them all night, yet in his testimony, he says he only spent about 45 to 60 minutes with them.
A total of an hour for the entire evening. The other thing that I thought,
all night.
So she says, is it your testimony that you do not follow blah, 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 this guy, or whatever? And he says that, yes, that is my testimony. Well, if she should never have asked that question, if she didn't have it already queued up, like, oh, well, here, I got your Twitter right here, and it says you follow that umbrella guy. You know,
that's what
and
I
at
was
least
expecting there, and I didn't see
Right.
it, which was disappointing.
Well, and once again, I think it goes back to the idea, instead of being flashy, she should just go after the little chips, and if she can find those little chips, that's the kind of stuff you do to,
The thing is, those little chips don't shed you in a positive light in PR, and they're trying to get positive PR for Amber. So if her lawyer is focusing on all those tiny little details, as I said, it doesn't give you good PR. It makes you come across as a dick.
Well, the problem is that I'm not a super detail-oriented person. It's just not my personality. I'm more of a big swathing kind of concept guy. But even I can do details better than Elaine can. I mean, she just isn't good at this stuff.
Yeah, it's not her. Once again, I think what we talked about, this settlement negotiation is probably where she's a lot better, right? She's not a trial attorney. Elaine is clearly not a trial attorney, one who's seen a lot of trial experience, like, period.
Umbrella guy. Okay. Well, all right. Now we have this up. I'm going to ask you to take a look. What is Defendant's Exhibit 1903? Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. And that's from that umbrella guy on 4/21/22, correct?
Correct.
And it says bringing in the Hicksville incident accusations. Do you see that?
I do.
And there's clearly Mr. Depp testifying there, likely a video, right?
Okay.
And you respond, that never happened. I was with them all night. Amber was the one acting all jealous and crazy. Do you see that?
I do.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's 1903.
Any objection?
Yeah, Your Honor, we believe the first part of the that umbrella guy's tweet should be unredacted for context.
Well.
I have no idea what I was replying to.
It's hearsay. It's rank hearsay, and the context
Your Honor,
is not necessary.
You're an approach. Of course. Take a look.
Now, does she win this one or lose this
So
one?
partial loss here.
Approaching again, crossing.
And I like the way she called it a
Side by one.
rank hearsay as well,
Rank
to
hearsay.
make that point that it adds to that defamatoriness of the case.
Right. Here you go. Okay. So
I have no idea.
fucking
Well, he's
barn here.
testifying.
Okay. So essentially, here's Twitter, right? They got in that umbrella guy here.
Mm-hmm.
They got the picture. So what you did is you kept the picture in there and his response, but not
Now,
the text.
is that in response to a video? Is that a video clip that he's got?
No, because as I said earlier, if you look in the bottom right, there's no numbers. In a Twitter video, you'd have numbers or a play button, so it just looks like a still image to back up
Still
his
image.
text. He might be promoting his video within the text potentially. I mean, we don't know because they blocked out the text. So
That's what might be there, and maybe they don't want to see that, right?
yeah, they don't want to promote his YouTube stuff.
No, it's too easy.
He talks to the umbrella guy.
Did he what? He talks to the umbrella guy?
Yeah. Were you aware of that?
I honestly, this sounds like schizophrenia.
Owned. I mean, that was so.
I would have
hard.
objected to that if I was Elaine, because he can't speak to schizophrenia. He's not an expert.
He's not an expert.
Yeah, but he's like sounds like, you know.
Now, 4 days after this event where you texted, Your Honor, yeah, it's in. Okay, good. 4 days after that, you tweeted something pretty nasty about Elon Musk, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
He's happy.
So
He's
you
like happy about tweeting something bad about Elon Musk.
But Elon Musk is a conservative nowadays, so it could literally be about anything.
Is he? I don't know. I mean, Elon
Well, you
Musk
know
is
what I
weird.
mean. They, ever since he started getting based and buying Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah. Some parts, it's like Elon. With Elon, it's a mixed bag, but that's a whole separate thing. We'll talk about.
That's exactly right.
Don't like Elon Musk, right?
Objection relevance.
Oh,
I don't know Elon Musk.
Overruled. Thank you.
So that was the context of that is that he had...
I didn't ask you for the
I
context.
apologize.
Okay.
I mean,
Again, she looks like an ass, but good witness control.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do have to cut that off, right? So she did have to cut that off.
But you texted something that had swear words in it. Would you agree about Elon Musk?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh no, swear words.
Oh Lord, swear words, guys in the chat, swear words. Oh
The
no.
jury had to be laughing at that, especially given the fact that they're slightly younger.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me right now?
Now, let's talk about your recollections here. 45 minutes to an hour. Your recollection is that Mr. Depp actually drove there?
Yes.
What type of car was he driving?
An old one that was a convertible.
An old convertible?
I'm not a car guy, so I couldn't express the model.
No kidding.
And your recollection was this was May?
He's a granola guy.
That's right.
2013?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall when in May?
Late May.
I have a Prius.
Now, you said that you spent a total of 45 minutes to an hour with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. Is that correct?
Mostly Mr. Depp, but that's after the tour and after they were checked in throughout the course of the night.
Okay. And you don't recall any of the people that were there other than Ms. Heard's sister and the security guard, correct?
I don't recall any of their names.
Do you remember how many of them were female?
I believe it was predominantly female.
Do you remember how many males were there?
I don't, outside of the security guard.
Do you remember what any of the other people looked like?
They honestly just seemed like youngish hipsters, like for lack of a better term. I know that previously a couple of them had stayed at Hicksville Trailer Palace. That's how they knew about the place.
Okay. So you don't recall seeing how much anybody had to drink that night, correct?
I did not witness that.
And do you recall the use of drugs at all?
I did not witness that.
Okay. Were you sitting at any point with these people at the campfire?
I was not.
Okay. And when you said that you saw Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp, and Ms. Heard was yelling at Mr. Depp, where were they?
She pulled him for a chat, and it was off towards their trailer, like a little bit off towards the dirt.
How many feet were there between the campfire and their trailer?
The campfire and their trailer?
Yes.
Approximately 75.
Okay. So where in that 75 feet did Ms. Heard pull Mr. Depp and yell at him and he cowered?
20.
Okay. 20
from the campfire.
From the
trailer.
campfire.
Yeah.
So your testimony is that Ms. Heard grabbed Mr. Heard, pulled him 20 feet
Mr.
over,
Heard.
yelled at him, and he cowered.
Yes, that's what I witnessed.
And then did they go back?
I went inside the house.
So you don't...
Wait, Jordi, did you say something?
I'm sure she said Mr. Turd and not Mr. Heard. Honest to God, I'm sure of it. I'm sure that's what I just heard.
It's fine though. I mean, but that's hilarious though. If she said Mr. Turd, like that would be epic. Like that's the epic.
Yeah, even the chat is saying Mr. Turd.
Mr. Turd. Okay, yeah, it was Mr. Turd. All right.
You know,
hey, if the chat says it, it's got to be true, right? It's got to be true.
If I were this guy and I were a secret Johnny shill, I would have to find some way to like work that in or something like that.
Work the turd in.
Just so afterwards, I could,
I'll get the other, and guys, after all this finishes, I'll go through the super chats, but this one made me laugh. Thanks to Hicksville, Amber has been featured in more trailers than she ever will again.
Don't know whether they
just describing what he witnessed.
Oh my God.
Oh God, she looks terrible.
We don't need you right now. Here we go.
And do you know whether there were any disagreements or physical communications, anything of that nature at the campfire?
I do not.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp did anything to anybody else at the campfire?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Do you know whether Mr. Depp grabbed anybody's wrist and asked them if they knew how many pounds of pressure it took to break their wrist?
I wasn't there the whole time.
Okay. Is it your testimony that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard went last to their trailer? Everybody else went before them?
The rest of the people, I think about half of them had already gone to bed, and they went, it was all around the same time at the end of the night that the rest kind of scattered. There might have been a couple of people that went right after them or right before, but it was all around the same time.
Okay, so your recollection is that when Amber and Johnny Depp went back to their trailer, that dissipated, everybody then left at that point?
Yes.
Okay, now how far away was your house that you were staying in from the trailer that Amber and Johnny Depp were staying in?
I'd say it was about 75 feet away.
Okay.
A quick hat tip to Tug. This is a tweet from 48 minutes ago. Apparently somebody else who worked there at this Hicksville place has come forward. It says, this is Christy C. She says, I was Hicksville manager, and there was and there that morning with Morgan and Jenna before Amber Heard and Johnny Depp checked out. I cleaned the trailer, so I saw the state of it. Morgan's testimony is true. Trailer was not trashed. Only thing was wall sconce. None of us were upset like Amber claimed.
It's a shame she won't be allowed to testify because
she's not going to be able to.
She's been watching the trial.
Yeah, absolutely.
No
She's been.
So that's for us. That's information for us.
That's for us, right.
That's not for the trial.
No. Absolutely. Tug, on the other hand, he's still hopeful. He's like, don't talk to her just in case.
No,
she's not coming in. But the point is I think for our minds that adds to his credibility. I think
I agree with that. And he's got 1 minute. He's got 1 minute left here. If you guys want to just play through this, then we can.
Okay.
The time that you saw or heard anything was when you went there in the morning and saw the broken sconce. Is that correct?
Yes, I didn't hear anything after went to bed.
Okay, and that's the extent of your knowledge.
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions. All right.
Boom. Okay, there you go. So yeah, that's pretty much all we got from him. I mean, not a lot. Like in terms of volume of information from him, it's not a lot. We didn't get like a lot of information from him, except for the fact that the trailer story seems to be extra, right? Yeah. So, I mean,
see, don't get me wrong, he's credible, but I think because of like.
There's some little things, right?
Knowledge, and I'm trying to ignore all the extra stuff that the jury haven't seen, because I've seen it obviously, and that's formed my opinion that JD should win. But when I give my overall opinions, I'm trying to see it from the jury's perspective and the information that they have, and like they are going to see the same holes that I saw. They're obviously going to see that Elaine didn't poke those holes, but you've still got that question in your mind. Okay, what if those holes had been properly poked? What would the answers have been? And everybody, when they're making a decision like this, has those kind of questions, even though they shouldn't necessarily consider it because it wasn't in the trial. That's still going to be a process that they go through.
Right.
Here's another tweet. This is Jenna, the other lady that they were talking about in his testimony. She says, for those of you wondering if Morgan Knight is being truthful about Hicksville, I was the innkeeper who was also there. I'm new to Twitter, so hopefully I'm doing this right. But his testimony was factual. Amber Heard was the one jealous. Amber Heard yelling at Johnny. And 3, the trailer was not destroyed, etc. So, I mean, it's just kind of, this is all kind of, ancillary information that we're getting kind of after the fact, and I think it's just kind of interesting to see.
Right, that it's like trickling out. Like the truth is trickling out. The truth is eventually like getting out on this. All right, let me go through some of these super chat messages because you guys had a bunch of stuff here, which is hell has no fear. BS can be constructed, change, and attitude to fit the narrative. Truth can't, so it's harder to prove. Thankfully, JD is getting little wins. Yes, JD, I think is getting, honestly, I think he's getting more than little wins. I think he's getting some big wins on this.
Yeah, he's
in
getting
terms
some
of
big
getting
ones.
the truth out. Cody Bouvet sent a $4.99, just like nothing, no text at all. And then he sent another $4.99, Matthew McConaughey. I like that one. Simon Lewis says, I let Princess Michael in 1998. I remember exactly what happened in my interaction. Memorable people leave lasting memories. I think he meant I met Princess Michael. Or maybe Michelle. Max Mura, Morgan and JD, 2 old points contact, Viper Club, JD's ex-wife. Yeah, there was that like spurious point of contact, but I don't think that's enough to prove bias. The fact that like back in the day he knew his wife, I mean,
if they'd have asked it and pressed on it during voir dire, they might have been able to get him thrown out over it, along with the fact that he's experienced abuse before. But they would have to press it hard, and they didn't. So
they did not do that at all. J1 says, oh, Quentin Tarantino's going to play this guy for the movie. Got that one before. Soy Mafia says, case won by Soy Boy and unbreaded umbrella guy. So yeah, the soy and the unbreaded work together on this one, guys. Hugo Adore said, this guy looks and sounds like a know-it-all kid from Polar Express, all grown up, but I believe his story. And by the way, that's the whole thing, guys. Even if you don't like people's, background, you don't like their politics, the point is, are they credible? Do you believe their story? Do you think they're lying or not? And that's what you should be assessing when you're talking about this guy. And look, I may not agree with his choice to only eat soy and tofu, but I think he was very credible, the fact that he had trauma and he was triggered by seeing Amber address Johnny. That I think is definitely believable. Katarina says, some have picture memory for Australian 1499, says, can detail memorable events to the T, especially the ones that were unpleasant. He was also triggered due to his own knowledge of abuse in the relationship. It's like the audio. So that's very true. So what he keyed in on was specific to his personal experience. I do agree with that. Anna's double chin says, morning, gents. What do you think the chances of Team Depp calling Amber on the final day possibly as hostile, just a roast after Depp and Kate today? What do you think about that, Jordi and Scott? What do you think? Do they call Amber?
They wouldn't be able to call her as a hostile, would they?
I don't think so. There's nothing to rebut. Like, what does she rebut?
Well, not only that, I mean, what would be the point of having her as a hostile witness? No, you have a hostile witness so they can tell their story. That's the whole point of making them hostile. You do not want Amber Heard telling her story without proper lines of questioning.
Yeah.
That would be hugely detrimental to Johnny's case, because whether she manages to sway the jury with it or not, whatever lies she decides to spin is then out there in the public domain and people will latch onto it.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing too, having Amber being able to put any kind of, so as unbelievable as we felt her emotion was, there may be somebody on the jury that's keying into it a little bit, and any opportunity to give her the to give any kind of emotional statement prior to the this fresh at the end. I think she's gonna. I think if anything, Johnny is the one everybody really wants to see at the end, and I think he'll be able to pretty much back clean up.
Yeah, and to clean up the story. Austin Olson says Johnny should have a docuseries called Heard from the Depp after this. It could have all the abuse instances dramatized and last 10 episodes. Honestly, if he gets winnings, I think he should put it towards some projects. Let's put it that way. Simple Old Soldier says, yesterday they started with 4 hours and 8 minutes and used 1 hour and 15 minutes. So they should have 2 hours and 53. I thought the 4 hours was confirmed, but regardless, guys, it's not a lot of time. It's really not. So for 2 days, having 4 hours, not a lot of time for them. Josh White says, I had a dream with myself, Dr. Muffins, and Camille. No shame in that game, Josh. No shame in that game. You're not going to be shamed on this channel, right? No judgment. Catherine Van Norman says, Turd said manager at Hicks had on mesh. So I guess Amber Heard had said he was wearing mesh. So it gets her reliability, her testimony into question.
I mean, I haven't heard that specific part of her testimony, but could it have been one of the other managers that were wearing a mesh shirt?
Could have been, right? That could have been it. She confused. who was in charge.
Maybe her memory was not so hot because maybe she was a
drinking.
little yeah.
Yeah. Daniel said, "Great to see Mr. Mackey on the stand."
Okay.
Blue-eyed Roof Korean the Based says, "Is the Streisand effect backfiring on activist media?" I think right now the media tactics that they're trying to use are not being effective. I think they're in fact going to work against them because they're trying to gaslight you on what you can see. And I think this is the weakness of mainstream media, is when things are actually exposed, particularly in video form, it looks real bad. This is why LawTube is blowing up. That's why it's getting millions of views, because people are seeing that what you're being told in media is bullshit, and they're mischaracterizing what's happening.
And everything that you guys are saying in LawTube is coming across as genuine and authentic, you know? I mean, and people totally key in on that.
Yeah. Juan De Silva says, "I kind of like this guy. I'm sure he just made a good publicity for his trailer park," which is true. TBH,
well, he sold the trailer park.
I was going to say, he doesn't own that trailer park anymore.
Oh, well then
he owns,
there goes
that
he owns a different one,
it.
but it's got the same name, the Hicksville or whatever.
Hicksville Bud and Breakfast is what he owns now.
So the trailer palace is out and the Bud and Breakfast is in.
Yeah, that's right.
So as you said, there was no question about accounting. Yeah, I do agree with that. But they could have brought in the receipts there, like show me the receipts on the damage, and just made them prove that, right? Made them bring those receipts. Nick Naylor says, "How the F did you just drop a video on stream?" Maybe one of my scheduled videos dropped while it was here. So guys, secret, I schedule videos. Oh my God, I'm crazy.
Oh my God.
Daniel Chapman, did Catherine Arnold factor in that Amber went from meteoric rise to sleeping in a trailer in her equation? Literally. Thank you, Tweez Big Knee, for the 10 Aussie bucks. Guys, that's it. We're caught up, and I know we're starting soon for court, so I want to kind of wrap this up here. Jordi and Scott, did you have any final thoughts? Maybe Jordi and then Scott, final thoughts before we come into today.
I mean, I'm looking forward to today, that's for sure. I know that's about it from me.
Are you going to watch? Because Jordi, you're in the UK. What do you do for watching? Like, do you watch like the first half or the back half? Like, what do you do in terms of?
So I watch it all. Tend to have an hour nap in the middle, so I have to go back and watch an hour. But then I got caught up with breaks and sideboards and that. But I usually watch Alita her stream.
Alita's her stream. Scott, how about you? What's up with you? What's your plan?
Well, I mean, you know, I like as messed up as all this stuff is, I like to freshen myself with the world of real world violence, and that's what I'm getting ready to do here in about half an hour. I'm going live with my show, so
awesome.
And then I'll catch
Scott's
up
channel
with
is Future Conflict, and it is tagged in the description, so you can check out that. He does real world contract geopolitics, right? So if you want any sort of thing with that, we were covering Ukraine. He's got all the information on that, the facts, unbreakfast.
Today we're talking about our good friends the Taliban, checking in on them to see how they're doing since our breakup, and we're also going to be looking at Latin America, you know, because a lot of people forget about all that, and China's messing around in there. And then we're also looking at East Asia security. China's got a lot of stuff going on these days, and they've also got a lot of problems. There's a demographic time bomb. A very prominent geostrategist is claiming that China as a political entity will not exist for the next 10 years.
That's interesting. So check that out.
I'd love to go into it with you sometime. It is pretty fascinating.
100%. Let me show you. So let me get this quick super chat because I got a grift here real quick. Daniel said $5. When will the What If Any mesh shirt be available in the merch store? So guys, if you didn't know, I just updated the link. It was acting weird before, but I do have a merch store. I'm gonna add more troll merch. Honestly, I'm just doing this for the lulz. Like, I don't care if you guys. I just frankly it's for the lulz because nobody is offering it. I got a What If Any. I got an Amber Turd. Somebody asked for a hoodie.
Nice.
I'll put a hoodie. I'll see if I can find a mesh shirt. If I can find a mesh shirt, I'll get that out there. If you guys have anything you're interested in, let me know. Send it to me. Tell me on
your
Twitter.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you want it, Legal Mindset. This is in the merch, so this is in the description. If you want some merch, just for lulz, guys. This is literally just for lulz, gag gifts. It's hilarious.
By the way, I endorse the Ricada stream. That's the best place to see this.
And I've been on both. I've been on Bytes and on Ricada. A little bit more on Ricada simply because, frankly, and I've told Alita this and I've told Nick this. I look at the streams and I see how many people are on, and the panel already has 6 people. I don't like to jump onto that because I'm not going to get a word in edgewise. Even though I have my trusty dusty board, and I can hold that up and do it, it's still I like to have some conversation as well. Claudia.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is fixed in. I will never buy into the mainstream media again. And if you're like that, if you will never buy into it again, make sure you stay tuned into these channels. Stay tuned into LawTube. Stay paying attention. After this trial ends, we're covering a lot of the topics on LawTube. We've been doing this for years that the mainstream media will not touch. They won't go near. We'll definitely cover the shooting in Texas because that one is one that they're not going to touch. And that's exactly the type of thing that we are going to be on top of. And whenever the next big trial happens, I guarantee you we'll be way ahead of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wanda Silva says, just wanted to send some love to the LawTube community. Keep up the great work. I'm jumping on Legal Bites today. Awesome. Pick your flavor. There's tons of flavors of LawTube. Whichever flavor you like best, do it. Get in there.
Which one are you heading to today, Andrew?
Right now I'm headed to eating some fucking dinner because I haven't eaten anything. I literally took a nap. I woke up and I have my Korean. These are my favorite brand. I don't know if you know the Sun Chips here, the spicy Sun Chips. These are my favorite brand of chips. In Korea, like I really just love the spiciness of them. Koreans are good with spicy stuff. So I like the hot and spicy chips. So I was snacking on those here, but I need to have some real fucking food. So I'm going to go to Gangnam and get some food, and then I'm going to be back here probably jumping on in an hour or two. Once again, I'm going to look at Legal Bites or Ricada. I'll be on one or the other. I may try to message Tug. I don't know if he ever has guests on his stream, but I would love to be on his stream as well.
Yeah, Tug goes live in 4 minutes, I think.
I'll message him. He usually doesn't have too many guests on his channel, though, but I would go on his channel if he invited me. I'll just say that. Chica said, if Amber Heard is cast as a side piece in a movie, that movie would have Johnny Depp attending the premiere. Is that a reason to give a role to Amber Heard? No.
I mean, it depends on the movie, surely, because JD brings a lot of media attention with him.
It's true, but you wouldn't
have that as the main reason, but that might be an inkling in like the hiring person's head.
Yes, that's true. Legal, were you a Marine? No, I was not in the Army, not in the Armed Forces. I don't feel like you're laughing. Scott,
you haven't got a discipline to be a Marine.
He couldn't even be a sailor, much less a Marine.
That's even worse.
Well, I don't know,
That's
Andrew. You seem like you could be like an Air Force lawyer or something.
Air
Force lawyer. Yeah.
Actually, you know what's funny? I did think about doing that, being a JAG for the Air Force, because
hey man, they pay off your student loans.
Yep, exactly. Chair Force, baby. Valiant said, what if any, smash a like button with a handle of Vakate, smash that like and share. Valiant has been on streaming with me, so subscribe to him as well. Valiant, come on with me after for the PM stream. You're a great motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Valiant. I would love to get him on my channel sometime to have him talk the business environment as it deals with the economy and all that kind of stuff.
Global economy,
he's got,
I think it'd be
yeah,
fun.
absolutely, because business is right there with security.
Smash a like button on the way out, guys. Take care. We'll see you around. See you after the trial. I'll be back again. Until then,